Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this what if story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by 𝐿𝐵rownie on Wattpad. Now, let's start. Well, after reviewing over the results several times, I'm afraid to say, you don't have a quirk, kid, and seems you never will. The doctor said sadly. He was trying his hardest not to look into the young boy's eyes or even trying to notice the boy's mother in tears as she clutched her son for dear life. The young boy with green messy hair couldn't process what was going on. His shocked mind failed him to even react to the doctor's words, but slowly and surely the other 2 occupants in the room knew. His whole world was shattered. An unknown forest location 20 miles from the hospital, a black purplish portal opened up in the sky, power crackling as lightning was being struck throughout the area. Suddenly a large figure came through the portal, falling towards the ground at insane speed. Boom! The land covered in ashes, debris went everywhere, burnt trees and steam filled the area of the forest. The figure tried to stand up, but his legs and body would not move from his position as he was embedded into the ground. Blood was spilled everywhere, but with a heavy heart. I will avenge you, Merlin, just you wait, I will destroy Lilith. His last battle cry as he passed out from exhaustion. He lost everything important to him and his world was shattered. Years later, it was a typical sunny day. The birds were out and singing while the flowers were nice and blooming. Just an average day until a quirkless teen known as Izuku Midoriya was running like hell from his bullies as fast as his skinny legs could take him. He knew and fully understand why they always picked on him. All he ever wants to do is become a pro hero even without a quirk. Sure, at first they made fun of him for his antics, but then they will soon beat him just because he was just an average lowlife and not cool and powerful like them. The worst part of it was that his old childhood friend Bakugo was the ringleader. Him and young Izuku were once friends, but that all changed when Bakugo found out Izuku didn't have a quirk. Young Bakugo was born with marvelous quirk while Izuku was left quirkless. Bakugo hated how Izuku was weak and flawed as a human. He soon made Izuku his punching bag, while starting to refer to him as Deku, an insult to his name, the one who can't do anything because he's useless. After running for so long, Izuku found himself deep in a forest surrounding. His legs were aching in pain. Hunching over, he tried to steady his heavy breathing, and to no use, he kept coughing up mucus. Finally becoming more stable, he started to scan the area around him and his bullies appeared to have vanished. I think I lost them, he thought as he slowly walks away through the scattered leaves on the dark forest floor. Well, Deku, I have to admit you are one fast little SHC, but the time has come when you need to learn your place. Bakugo called out from a distance in a menacing voice. Him and his other 2 lackeys started walking toward Izuku as they took their uniform coats off so they wouldn't get blood on it, expensive to get it dry clean. They seemed also to be out of breath but were still ready for a beatdown. Izuku in a panic tried to run away, but he slipped on some wet leaves. His body froze as he hit the ground, too scared to defend himself. Bakugo slowly walked over to the fallen teen and flipped Izuku around and straddled him. An evil smile graced his lips as he grabbed Deku by the collar of his uniform. Lifting him up face to face, he shoved Izuku's head against the ground and kept repeating this process several times as blood was flowing from the back of Izuku's head, slowly staining the earth beneath them. Just be a good useless little and take it, Bakugo said angrily as he ignored the cries from the boy under him. He raised his fists and started pounding the teen's face over and over again and never letting up. As this was going on, the 2 lackeys behind him watched in disgust as Bakugo's hands were covered in blood while Izuku's face was battered badly, not to mention the cries of pain coming from him as Bakugo's laughter was running throughout the forest. Plea. Ace back. Ku. Go. St. Op. Izuku choked up blood as he begged for the older teen to stop. His words for pleading were useless as Bakugo was charging up his quirk to finish him off. Sparks of orange and red danced around Bakugo's hand. Yeah, right, like I would ever stop putting you in your place, Deku. Bakugo yelled out a battle cry as he raised his charged right hand, ready to bring it down on the fallen boy's battered face. Shutting his eyes, Izuku waited and waited. But the pain never came. Am I already dead? He slowly opened his bruised eyes and what he saw shocked him. Bakugo was lifted off of him above the ground by a very tall figure. Izuku couldn't make out the stranger appearance. His head was dizzy and felt he was losing consciousness. He turned his head to the side as he saw the other two lackeys running away in fear as the left paw Bakugo behind. Bakugo on the other hand was struggling out of the stranger's grasp as he yelled insults, but to no avail. The tall man punched Bakugo so hard in the stomach he flew far away and surely out of the forest. Team Rocket style, Izuku coughed more blood up as he tried to resist the darkness that was taking over, but as he was lifted off the ground by strong arms, he heard a faint whisper, "Rest now, child, they won't bother you ever again." Izuku listened at those words, a tear slipping from his swollen purple eye, as he finally closed them and slipped away to a better place, a more quiet realm where he can rest and heal. Hours later, unknown location. What's that smell? Am I in heaven? Wait, why can't I move? Izuku stirred as he was fully awake but couldn't open his eyes or move his body too much. It felt as if he was on someone's bed. Wait, what the hell? He yelled throughout his mind state. So many disturbing thoughts were going through his head, such as if someone kidnapped him to a pervert who may take his version, but finally, after struggling a bit, he managed to raise his right hand up only to be catched by a bigger and very larger one. "Hey kid, I wouldn't do that. My power is still healing you." Hearing a deep but gentle voice from above him scared the living SHT out of Izuku. He kept trying to move and form words but nothing would come out. He tried to force open his eyes to see who said it but couldn't. "Hold on, just give me a second and I will release you." He felt the same large hand on his chest release. The stranger yelled. Izuku felt warmth throughout his body. He never felt a sensation quite like this. He felt as if he was running through a field of flowers but naked with a bunch of girls looking in awe and wonder, but that feeling ceased as he was being poked in the face by sausage fingers. Izuku slowly opened his eyes and came face to face with a very large man with short brown hair, golden mustache and blue eyes like the ocean. Further notching, he wore a long sleeve that barely contained his tight muscles and brown briefs that seemed to fit him oddly too tight. HW surveyed the room and he came to the conclusion that he was in a log house. Old furniture and decorations covered the room until his eyes landed on a huge golden axe laying next to the door. He started to sweat drop as his nervous anxiety starting acting up, slowly muttering to himself as he wrapped the blanket around him. "I'm so dead, look at that huge axe, is gonna slice me up." He started to shake back and forth by this point. "My name is Escanor, the lion sin of pride, what is yours?" Escanor flexed his bulging muscles in a dramatic way to make his point across that he was the alpha in the room. Also noticing the young boy's eyes lingering on his axe writer, not to mention he was shaking like a scared pig. "This kid is a weird one for sure. I hope Merlin was not wrong about this." "Izuku. Midoriya." Izuku answered quietly but loud enough for Escanor to hear. Izuku was too scared to think straight, and not to mention he was in front of Beast of Man with his scary muscles bulging. He could squish him if he wanted to and eat him for soup, or use him as a toothpick, or better yet use that axe to do all the work. He started muttering again, this time faster, as Escanor looked at him oddly. "Why were those kids beating on you?" Escanor said in a serious tone as he pulled a chair next to the bed. Sitting down, he waited patiently for the young boy's response. Izuku was interrupted from his thoughts and started to explain his situation over the bullying and the fact that he was born quirkless. Escanor listened closely until Izuku was done, then he started to speak. "Child, you've been through a tough life. Many people would give up on their dream because a higher force would dominate them and put them into SBMSN. But you still want to be a hero despite all the harsh obstacles that have been thrown at you. That is very noble and prideful of you, young man." Escanor patted Izuku on the head and smiled broadly. Izuku nodded as tears dropped down his face. "My mother always told me a true hero will never give up in the face of danger. Even when I get beat up, I will shrug it off like it never happened and ignore the inner pain and keep a smile for her. Because I know at least I can be her hero." Young Izuku looking up Escanor, who now stood up and started to speak again. "I believe I can help you with your issue." He sits next down to Izuku on the bed. "What do you mean by that?" Izuku looked at him curiously. The boy was fidgeting with his fingers. "Well, first let me tell you a story. There was once a prince who was born from the kingdom of Edinburgh. When he was a young child, his older brother Damon used to pick on him every day due to the envy he had in his heart. until one day the young prince had awakened a power inside him, and he accidentally broke his brother's arm. His parents who heard the news disowned him because of what happened and his strange unexplained appearance as a muscular child. Soon the kingdom's forces were mobilized to search and kill him. All hope was lost until he came across a kind woman named Rosa, who hid him in a barrel and set it adrift at sea in search of a better life. He survived, but wherever he went, people would have called him a monster even when he put his life at risk to help them. Until one day he eventually meets a appealing goddess named Merlin and a short man named Meliodas who asked him to join their knightly order. Soon after he became a hero to a few but an enemy to many. Escanor finished as he started to remember the glorious past he lived and the many battles he fought along with his beloved Merlin. Wow! Let me guess, you were that man. You're pretty sharp, kid. Well, it was obvious. I mean, look at you and that axe. You gotta be a knight. But I'm confused. I never heard of this kingdom Edinburgh or this story in history class, Izuku said as he was stretching his arms and legs out. Well, yes. I mean, it's because I'm not from this world. Escanor couldn't lie to his next successor. He didn't want to say the rest of the story, but he may not have a choice. Wait, are you an alien? No, you idiot. Escanor covered his ears as he yelled back. This kid could develop a nice battle cry with practice, he thought jokingly. Wait, so how did you end up here in this world? Izuku, now more calm, was wondering at so many situations on how Escanor ended up in this world. Let me tell you how I got here and the rest of the story. Escanor paused and collected his inner strength. He hated remembering how he ended up here. And so with a heavy breath he continued, during our finale battle we defeated the Demon King and saved the kingdoms, but with a grand victory came a heavy consequence. We unleashed a monster more powerful than ever. Her name was Lilith, the Queen of Monsters. Her magic was unreachable as she slowly destroyed and killed my comrades one by one. I was heavily injured in my state and I was no match for her, and in a last effort Merlin and Meliodas used the last of their magic and opened a portal for me to go through. They passed down some of their gifts that fused with mine. I've been stuck here for about 10 years looking for someone to pass my gift to. Escanor finished quietly as he tried to suppress his anger and the tears that would follow. He felt as if he was a failure who couldn't even protect his teammates. He felt he abandoned them. Izuku stood up and awkwardly hugged Escanor's side, given the man was 5 feet taller than the small boy. You are a true hero no matter what you think, Escanor. You gave it your best and never gave up. Don't let their sacrifice be the end of it. Live on for them and cherish the memories. Izuku's encouraging words warmed Escanor's heart. Now my boy, enough with the sad moment. Now about the power I said earlier. It's magic-based and different from what your world referee as quirks. Izuku just looked at him weirdly. Magic? You mean shooting lights while pulling rabbits from hats and doing spells with a spell book? Escanor laughed at his statement and couldn't stop tearing up. He hadn't laughed so hard in years. My boy. You sure are a funny one. I knew Merlin and Meliodas pointed me in the right direction in finding a new host. Escanor wiped his tears, still giggling at the simple statement. Being alone for a long time, he forgot how enjoyable it was to talk to another person. Ha ha ha. The real question is why me? Out all people, why me? Izuku was now more confused on the term why him. Escanor, you could pick someone stronger who is already born with power and train them to be godly. Why a short kid like me who gets picked on because he declares he wants to be a hero to the whole world and wants to make a difference, but society looks down on him because he's not specie? Izuku was cut off as Escanor put a hand on his mouth, keeping the boy from rambling on again. Never down talk yourself, young Izuku. A real hero would stand against all odds and prove those wrong with a smile on his face, and the strength from his comrades gives him power. Escanor cast his eyes down to you, Izuku. Blue met green as Izuku finally knew why he was chosen. It was his dream to become a hero and he never gave that up. Not to mention him and Escanor had similar backgrounds. Escanor, you're right, I can do this and I will become the hero people need while fighting with everything I got. Izuku said as his green eyes lit up with determination, the eyes of a true hero who will face the world if he had to. You're really a unique one. Well, I kept you here long enough. Are you ready, kid? My time is soon over and I believe you're up for handling the blessing. Escanor slowly put his index finger to Izuku's forehead. My power is a blessing from an angel deity. Starting from sunrise, my power begins to increase, with the process reversing with the setting of the sun. In the daytime, my physical strength, speed, and durability increases dramatically and am able to radiate intense waves of light and heat easily capable of melting metal and vaporizing stone to the point in the actual embodiment of the sun, the source of all life. And am able to imbue my axe with magic power, which causes the slashes from my axe to also burn my foes. I also acquired 2 other powers from Merlin and Meliodas, but due for another time I will explain. Escanor finished as he took much pride upon his blessing, but still he felt it was a curse. Izuku started tearing up happily. He didn't think he would ever get power, but now he had a chance to make a difference and become a hero and prove those others dead wrong. This may hurt kid, Escanor said quickly as his finger started to glow gold with heat waves coming off of him. Izuku didn't have time to process Escanor words and started to transfer his power to Izuku. Izuku felt incredible pain like he had never felt before. He cried and couldn't even move as his body was frozen. After a few seconds it was all over. Painting as Izuku had fallen to his knees. He could feel his body vibrate with a life he never knew existed. Looking down, he clutched his hands as they vibrated with golden heat waves. He felt his body changing and tightening as his muscles had gotten slightly larger. His senses became sharper as he can hear things and smell things he never knew was possible. He was awed by this power. It is done, young Izuku. You now carry the blessing sunshine. May you become the hero you dream of and protect this world if Lilith ever shows up. Escanor said as tears escaped his eyes. Slowly he turned around and walked out of the room, leaving his axe Ritter behind. Wait, Izuku's body fell to the ground as he passed out from exhaustion. He wanted to talk more, but sleep is not so bad. Right. Izuku's apartment 3. Izuku stirred in his All Might limited edition plus ultra bed. He was suddenly awoken by the AC unit going off outside his window. He rubbed his eyes and slowly looked around his room, noticing his All Might night light was flickering wild as usual due to the light bulb being old, but something was off. Wait. What the hell? Izuku yelled as he fell off his bed and ran out of his room towards the living area. He started to examine himself in the large mirror that sat next to the couch. My face. I thought. Wait, what happened? To Escanor. He was muttering under his breath as he was looking over his body for the slight bruise or any sign from his beatdown with Bakugo. His clothes, he noticed he was in his 3rd issue All Might Platinum PJs you can only get through a private top 20 fans convention center. Why the hell was he in these? He doesn't remember changing into them. Izuku, my baby, where are you? What happened? 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 ran throughout the apartment looking for her baby boy. She finally found him in front of the mirror with his top off and halfway down PJ breathes. She can see his All Might I Heart the Hero undies. What happened? He was nervously sweating. My baby, come here. 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 went and bear hugged Izuku into a tight grip while unloading a flood of tears all over his bare chest. Mother, I'm not little anymore, remember? You don't have to smother me, Izuku said calmly as he patted and rubbed his mother back softly. You had me worry, I thought you died or something. Did you have another nightmare about the boogeyman? She kept smothering the poor boy until he became dizzy from too much love. After a few minutes, Izuku waited for his mother to calm down. She finally relaxed. Together they walked to his mother's room, telling her everything would be okay and nothing to worry about. 𝐒𝐭𝐴 at first didn't buy it, but surely she did had to trust in her son after all because she needed to be supportive about his new situation. Hint. Good night, mother. Don't let the bed bugs bite, Izuku said as he was about to exit the room. Wait. Izuku, I almost forgot. Tell that gentleman. What was his name again, I think? Oh yeah, Escanor. Thank him for bringing you home. Last night, with that, 𝐒𝐭𝐴 drifted off to sleep as she slept in her limited edition Sailor Moon PJs. Continuing her dream of her and All Might in a jacuzzi. What the hell? Escanor brought me home. But how? He was pacing fast towards his room. Finally entering, he shut the door as quiet as possible, making sure not to make another loud noise to freak his mom out. He made his way to his cluttered desk. He pulled out his notebook and started writing his thoughts down, and the events that led up to meeting Escanor. Escanor, I need more information from you. I need more details, and most of all, Where are you? Izuku looked at his window as he gazed at the appealing full moon. He wondered where the Hulk-size man was and how he brought him home. Miles away at a 24/7 dinner, a lanky but fairly built man was toying with his straw. Here and there he took small sips of his chocolate milk while reading the newspaper, still deciding on if he wanted to play the crosswords or not. Sorry about the wait, hun, we don't get many people around this time, so the cook gets kinda lazy, but rest assured we make the best pancakes and steak around here. I even added extra bacon. The waitress placed a large pancake platter and steak platter in front of him. Thank you very much, and trust me, the wait is worth it at the end, he said quietly in a gentle, warm tone. He looked hungrily at the plates in front of him, his stomach was growling with anticipation. Let me know if you need anything else, sweetheart. She blushed as she walked away towards her station. He began to tear into his dinner, breakfast. He always gets hungry during this time of the day for some weird reason. Finishing up after a few minutes, he stands up and leaves a massive tip for the cute waitress. As he walks down the streets, he makes a stop at the local park. Swinging on the swings, he went higher and higher each second while catching an appealing view of the golden moon. I can't wait until I train you, young Izuku. You will make a great hero. With that, Escanor let go of his grip and flew meters into the air. He was excited for tomorrow. He couldn't contain his joy anymore. Look out, world, a new hero will rise up. The whole neighborhood awoke to the loud ruckus made by the former Sin of Pride. Next morning, Izuku's apartment. Saturday. Beep. 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 Wake your butt, up. Beep. Izuku's eyes shot open as he rushed to the alarm clock to unplug it. Stupid alarm clock. I still can't believe Uncle got me this for Christmas. Stretching out his sore muscles and neck, he noticed something else odd. Rushing towards the bathroom in a godly speed, he came face to face with his reflection. Nothing out of the ordinary except his once green eyes are now golden color. What the hell? Wait, did I get taller? And my hair, it's darker than usual. Shocked at this new development, his once 5 feet 5 inch height was now an outstanding 5 feet 11 inch. Every inch counts. His eyes were now gold. How was he going to explain this to his mother, out of all people? She may think he's going through another phase. Well, this must be a side effect of Escanor's power. Right. A sudden loud knock on the door scared Izuku almost to death. Izuku, sweetheart, breakfast is almost ready. Shower up and come down. I will wait for you, Inko yelled from the other side. Thanks, Mom. I will be down in a bit. Izuku decided to take a shower, but what surprised him was that he now had a chiseled six-pack that looked harder than marble, and his muscles are now toned as hell. He kept touching and weirdly slapping them. Such an odd boy. Yeah. Definitely a byproduct from Escanor. Minutes later, Izuku point of view. I wonder if Mother would notice anything suspicious. Wait, is that bacon I smell? I ran downstairs in a hurry. What can I say? I'm a sucker for bacon. As fast as my thick beefy legs carried me downstairs, I heard my mother say, Izuku, today we are going to eat bacon, hash browns, and pancakes for break. She stopped finishing her sentence. She looked at me for a couple of seconds and then spoke up. Izuku, why are your eyes gold, and how the hell did you get so tall overnight? Not to mention you gain a body of a mini Hulk. I can see her flabbergasted as she kept circling around me, poking at my muscles and comparing the major height difference between us. DMN it. What do I tell her? Quick, I need to come up with something quick. Anything, hurry and use your demon head. Wait, shaking away the nerves, I put my hands on my mother's shoulders and look her dead in the eye. I hope I don't F this up. Why's mother, that's right. I did get taller and beefy, and not to mention my eyes are different than before. I paused to let my nervous antics calm down. The truth is I have received a generous gift last night, and that's why I've changed. And also why that man Escanor brought me here. I put my head down to the ground, ashamed of making her worry about me like this, but at the same time I need to be honest with her. Oh, I already knew about that. The gentleman Escanor explained everything that happened between the two of you last night and the encounter with Bakugo. I could see her face scrunch up with anger, but she relaxed because I can assume it was not worth it. But I didn't know it would be a drastic change to your appearance. You didn't look like this last night when you woke me up. She cupped my face as she tippy-toe against me. She was tearing up with a smile. You already knew her. Man, I thought you were gonna freak out and then pass out. Calmly I said as I hugged her tightly. Well, I did last night, but Escanor caught me and helped me recover before. He left. My mother blushed after she finished. Something happened between them two. I have to find out about this later. Well, are you ready to eat because I am? I quickly changed the topic. Man, I was starving. End of point of view. Minutes later, a sudden knock on the front door interrupted the conversation between mother and son as they were talking more on the event of how Izuku met Escanor and the simple explanation of his power. Both of them looked one at each other until Izuku stood up and slowly walked towards the door. Unlatching the locks, he came face to face with the man that will change his life forever. Hey kid, are you free for today? Escanor in all his glory said as his muscles started to bulge, causing Inko to madly blush and almost fainted at the sight of a goddess. 𝐶𝐴. Izuku stuttered out, yeah, that's me, don't wear it out. He smiled broadly. Why are you here so suddenly? And free? Where are we going? Izuku was confused. How the hell does Escanor know where he lives? Well, I figured you deserved a basic rundown on your abilities and some training can do you good. Your mom told me UA is having tryouts in 8 months, so we barely have enough time to WHP you into shape. He picked up the shocked yet frozen Izuku and slung him over his shoulder. As he opened a portal to that leads to God knows where. Escanor turned to look at Inko with a warm smile. Don't worry, he's in great hands, and with that they both left through the portal and disappeared. Inko cried softly as she curled up on the couch, not because she was sad but because of Izuku. He finally has a chance to achieve his dream and, more importantly, a father figure. Hopefully. She blushed madly at the thought of a shirtless Escanor who was giving her a back massage while feeding her grapes. Mountainside 50 miles away. Izuku point of view. Man, I feel like a kid slung over Escanor's shoulder. We were met with a bright sunlight as we both exit the portal. Still have to ask, how does he create these portals? Maybe if I bug him enough he will teach me. Suddenly Escanor stopped. I felt his other hand grab the back of my shirt and all I can process was me getting thrown off of him. What the hell? I crashed through several brushes until finally wham. A DMN large tree stopped me. F. UCWH. At TH. Hell was that for? I struggled to get up but Dimon, I had splinters and cuts all over. What was Escanor DMN deal for that sudden attack? I'm sorry for that, young Izuku, but when we train there's no pampering or holding back. If you want to wield my power you have to prove your worth to me, Escanor said as he slowly was walking towards me. I noticed he slowly started to grow in size and eventually he towered over me by a good 3 feet. Is this guy really serious? He's gonna kill me. I'm going to die? I don't expect you to take pity on me, old man, because I will show you who is more worthy of this blessing. My mouth moved on its own in retaliation against Escanor, like if it was almost instinct. You sure are a funny one. I also see your appearance has changed. I guess it's a byproduct from my power, not to mention that small instinct of pride. Escanor said in a cocky way, as he felt he was more superior with the power. DM an ego, why you must feel special for creating perfection like me. I slowly charged power into my legs. Hopefully Escanor does not notice. Now before we start the fighting, Basie. I didn't let Escanor finish as I launched at him, delivering a blow to his smug face, sending him flying meters away. I may not have power before, but that doesn't mean I didn't secretly practice stances and fighting techniques at home while watching heroes on TV throughout my years. Escanor caught himself and slammed his feet on the ground, which produced huge shockwaves throughout the mountain. While that actually tickled, I'm surprised you were able to perform that successfully. But you know it's rude to interrupt your elders, right? I see. Escanor wiped a little BLD from his mouth as he got into a fighting stance. Oh well, I'm sorry you let your guard down. Hopefully you can forgive me. These words and actions are not me. Why was I acting like this? Wait, can this be the sin of pride Escanor was talking about? It feels good. I feel like I conquer anything. DMN, these conflicting personality really hurt my head, feeling my muscles grow larger as power is flooding through me. I looked at my watch, noticing it was 11 a.m. The sun was bathing on both of us, fueling our power. And each second I feel it about to burst. End of POV. As the tension between the two grew, their pride swelled and shook them as the ground below began to crack and split. Both Izuku and Escanor rushed at each other. Izuku powered up a right hook aiming for his opponent's chest, but Escanor saw this and blocked it with his massive arms. Escanor in response threw a left uppercut at Izuku's face, It connected, turning the young boy's head and leaving a devastating impact as Izuku was sent flying through the air. Dear minute, that is one hell of a punch, but I can take it. If I can't beat him on combat, I have to outsmart him in brains. Izuku landed as he recovered and jumped away from Escanor, putting distance between them. However, Escanor dashed right towards Izuku. Izuku was startled by how fast Escanor was approaching, but he could use this to his advantage. Izuku threw a left hook right at Escanor as he got close. He aimed at his chest, which Escanor barely blocked. Escanor used a charged punch and aimed for Izuku's face. However, Izuku dodged the punch barely as he felt the force of it cut his cheek. Izuku threw an uppercut right towards Escanor's chin. Escanor barely dodged the attack and countered by striking Izuku face downwards, turning the young boy's face sideways. Izuku crashed down hard against the ground as he felt the impact cracked his jaw and neck. Izuku recovered and began to run away while avoiding Escanor's advances and combo attacks. Dodging and invading was the best option. "HT, everywhere I go he's right on my butt. I need to get to a safe distance or I'll be caught by him," Izuku was thinking. However, Izuku, in a last effort, then spines around and rushed right towards Escanor. He was ready to ram his knee into Escanor's face, but sadly, Escanor caught his knee and the entire leg. Hosting Izuku over his head, he started to slam Izuku around like if he was a rag doll. The boy cried in pain as his bones were being cracked all over. Coughing up blood, he became dizzy. Escanor finally threw Izuku across the ground, watching the boy skip along as if he was a pebble going across the river. "Let's see if you can survive this." Escanor aimed his hand at the fallen bloody boy, charging his heat towards an output attack. Cruel Sun. Escanor unleashed a powerful mini-sun towards Izuku at high speeds. He was not going easy on the kid at all. "Come on, Izuku, prove to me you are worthy." Izuku struggled but surely stood tall and proud on his 2 feet. His clothes were ripped and he had many gashes across his body. He had a sly smirk on his face. "No, I will not let it end this way. This may be my first real fight, but that does not mean I have to lose. Come on, Izuku, you can do this. You cannot let end here." Izuku was facing the mini-sun as it was getting more and more closer. He felt the heat of the star approaching. "If it ends like this, then my meeting with Escanor would be pointless. I will show him I'm superior in every way. That's why I'm not going down." Izuku caught the burning ball of heat. The pain he felt was incredible. It didn't help because the ball grew in triple in size. The land was shaking and breaking apart as the nearby trees turned to ash and the rocks vaporizing. Izuku was pushing against the ball as hard as he can. His small size compared to the powerhouse of the attack didn't help either. "Is this all you got, Izuku? Maybe my sunshine was wasted on you. If you can't stop this simple attack, then what's the point to continue into training?" Escanor said darkly as his face cast a shadow. "No, I will surpass you, and everyone would know my name." Izuku with all his might lifted the large ball of sun and redirected it straight into the sky. Escanor was shocked as he watched his cruel sun being redirected like that, especially when he put 65% of his power into that attack. The cruel sun exploded and sent heat waves across the battlefield, burning everything in sight. Izuku had fallen to his knees, his head pounding and his body was aching. It, that wasn't so bad for the first day of training," he finished as he coughed up some beer. "I must admit, you keep surprising me, Izuku. I now acknowledge your pride and determination. However, we still have much to teach you." Escanor stood above the teen and picked him up. The fallen teen was too tired to resist. "I did good here for my first test." "Sloppy, but I really didn't expect much at all from you today," Escanor said as he started laughing. "UJRK. Ha ha ha. Let's get you home before your mom gets worried." Escanor opened a portal that led to Izuku's living room. "Hey Escanor," Izuku said quietly as he shuffled in his arms. "Yeah, what's up?" Escanor looked down. "You think you can teach me those techniques?" "Of course you not ball. Thank you." Izuku started to tear up. "No kid, thank you." Escanor smiled as he carried the teen through the portal, but poor Escanor was about to get the beat down of his life. Never bring home an injured cub to his mama bear. Location: Mountainside. Izuku point of view: 996. 997. 900. URG, come on. 98-inch Demon doing one-arm push-ups at sunrise was a glorious thing to do. I can feel the sun admire me and my tone muscles as they grew slightly. This is my last set for the day. I've been training hard for these past couple of months, learning new techniques and fighting styles. I can't wait until Escanor gets back. I can finally show him a new move I've been working on. Hey kid, you almost done? Speak of the devil, I see Boots walking past me, assuming it was Escanor since he has big feet. Yeah, just 999. 1000. I pushed myself off the ground into the air while landing a black flip. Seeing Escanor looked amazed at my aerobatics made me grin as I flexed my muscles. You call that a workout? That's child's play. I can probably do triple the sets than you can since you're getting up on your years. Old man, I said haughtily as I was massaging my swollen bicep. Demon, this sweat is itching my nuts badly. I got a scratch. You're too amusing. Anyways, didn't you say you wanted to show me something? Escanor tried to contain his laughter as he walked closer to me. Oh yeah. I almost forgot. I slapped my bicep as punishment for getting carried away. DMN cockiness of mine really clouds my thinking. Come on, I will show you. We need to get to the edge of the cliff, I said as I ran towards the other side of the rocky terrain until I came across the edge. I can hear Escanor behind me as he walked and stopped on my side. So, are you gonna jump off or something? Yeah, and grow wings and fly away? No, just stand and watch. I planted both my feet equal distance apart, slightly kneeled. I concentrated my magic that I stored from the sun into both my hands. The boiling feeling in my heart was getting hotter and hotter by the second. Putting my hands in front of me, I created small sparks of heat and light that dance around the front of both my palms. I squeezed my buttocks and pictured a random villain in front of me as I waited for the right moment. Now. Final impact. I unleashed a powerful beam of heat that traveled across the land at unimaginable speed. It ripped through the trees and land. Eventually I redirected it into the sky as it vaporized the clouds in the area. I had full control of it as I concentrated more magic into it. I also see Escanor in the corner of my eye looking at awe. Looking towards the beam, I decided to cancel it. Me and Escanor watched the beam of light finally exploded in the atmosphere, which caused a huge shockwave, blowing me and Escanor back a couple feet. Regaining my balance, I looked at the damage I caused. A straight line in front of me. It was all dirt and ash, no life was left and the soil was black and smoking. I looked to the sky above and noticed all the clouds in the area disappeared. I really need to hold back a little more. I started to sweat nervously at my display of power. Young Izuku, that was amazing control and a flawless technique. Escanor grabbed me into a bear hug so sudden, he started smothering me while telling me good job. DMN it all, his mustache is itchy. 𝐿 you tee me down. I struggled breathing as I was trying my best to escape the large man's grip. Oh sorry kid. I get kinda carried away sometimes. Escanor let go of me as I was struggling to breath. Finally I regained my composure after me coughing almost to death. It's alright. Did you like it? I call it final impact, and see, as I pointed to the sky above, I have total control of the beam, kinda like a ki blast from that one anime we watched a couple days ago. What was the name of that show again? Dragon Tall or Ball of Dragon? IDK. Escanor put a hand on my shoulder and looked at me proudly. I knew he was proud of me because I've improved greatly over these many months spending time together, and not to mention, I see Escanor as the father I never had. Also, he freaking lives with us, and the fact is also getting touchy with my mother. Izuku, my boy, you've come a long way during these training sessions. Your body has changed drastically and I must admit you are becoming a hero every day. He ruffled my hair as we walked back to the edge of the cliff and sat down, looking out and watching the appealing minus the burnt part scenery. Izuku, the entrance exam is in 5 days. You have come a long way, but it's now time you take the mantle of the lion sin of pride. Come forth, Ritha. The sudden outburst caught me by surprise as I noticed off into the distance a mass object was heading towards us at high speeds. Escanor stuck his right hand out and caught the object like it was nothing. I'm sure you remember seeing my axe, Ritha. Why? Yes, I was awestruck by how appealing it was up close. The golden axe was a appealing sight. Its perfect design was unmatched, and though it is a one-hand axe, the appearance alone would confuse the enemies. Not to mention it looks like it can cut a mountain in half. She was named after a maiden who was loved and praised by the sun. The edge can burn anything or anyone with its mighty slashes of heat. What's really special about it is that you can store magic in it and unleash it all at once or use it when the sun goes down to maintain your powered-up form for a little bit longer. Escanor looked at his axe with a sad smile. I figured he was remembering found memories with the weapon. And now Izuku, I trust you with it. You can't be the sin of pride without wrath. Escanor handed me the appealing axe. I gripped with my diamante right hand. I stood up and started to swing it around. The axe was really heavy, but I can get used to it. I can feel my magic becoming more controlled, but my smaller size compared to Escanor made me look a child swinging a long sword. But that didn't matter, the axe felt right. It felt like it belonged to me. Thank you, Escanor, she will be in good hands. I mean, look at me, I'm the perfect candidate, I said as I slung the axe over my shoulder. But what caught me by surprise was Escanor actually rushed in and hugged me gently this time. I can feel his wet tears on my shoulder and hear small whimpers. I let him be in this awkward position for a couple of minutes. I knew it was hard for him to say goodbye to his treasure. Hey big guy, it's gonna be okay. I will make you proud. I patted the back of his head. Finally he stood up and wiped his tears away. Ready to go home, he said quietly. I can see he's trying his best not to cry again. Yeah, I think mother is making steak and biscuits with gravy tonight. My stomach started to growl in hunger at the thought of them thick biscuits covered with gravy. Your mother is sure talented. She makes the best food ever, Escanor says as he started to open a portal up. Yeah, you got that right. I wonder how she will react to the axe. We both laughed as we walked through the golden portal. End POV Kiashi Ward Shopping Mall. 3 days before the entrance exam, it was a bright sunny day with a few clouds in the sky. Izuku took advantage of this appealing day to go shopping for new clothes and hopefully materials to help him make his costume. He wasn't sure if it was the new glasses Escanor gave him, help conceal his pride and power, or how his long-sleeved shirt hugged his body tightly showing his bulging muscles. He was catching the attention of various people around him. Some were cute girls and others large grown men that blushed for odd reasons. As he walked through the stores of the mall looking around, he got this odd feeling that he was being followed, but he pays no mind to it. This store seems nice. Izuku halted in front of store located far in the back of the mall. He was surprised he noticed it since the location was not that great. But what really caught his eye was the 50% on all items display in the front of the window. Who in their right mind would pass up on offer this great? Also, he took advantage of any shirt, briefs, even underwear that fit him nice and tight. Entering through the sliding doors, Izuku couldn't believe what he saw, rows upon rows of clothing, all colors and designs. With his enthusiastic nature out of check, he ran past the greeter and began looking through the first aisle. Izuku has a bad habit when it comes to shopping. He tends to take longer than necessary. 1 hour later, Izuku, I really did it this time. I was carrying 2 baskets full of clothes that folded neatly around the store. I was so indecisive when it came to buying, especially clothing. I take pride in my casual fashion. I dress mostly in long sleeves and fitted briefs since I think I look decent. Let me see what I have first. I stopped near the fitting room to sort through things I need and don't need. Man, I really like this shirt, but too bad it's 2 sizes bigger than me. And oh, these briefs, but sadly I think I won't look good in them after all. Finally, I condense all the remaining clothes into 1 carrying basket. It was a hard decision, but I've been here too long. The security guard keeps following me, acting like don't notice him. I can hear him breathing heavy from afar. Heading towards the cashier, I felt my phone vibrate. Pulling it out, it was my mother sending me a picture of Escanor sleeping on the couch as he was covered in drool. I laughed out loud and texted her I will be home in 20 minutes. Purchasing my things, I saved about $58, which is not bad at all. After all, I did get 4 long sleeves, 5 briefs, 2 packs each on socks and undies, and a new hat. Spending about $120. Exiting the store, I decided to skip the ice cream shop and just head home, as I was about to walk out the main entrance. Until I heard a loud yelp to my right. What I saw made me boiled. I started to walk towards the group of guys surrounding a girl. I could hear what they were saying, which didn't help their case. Hey, cupcake, you looking pretty tasty. How about I get a sample of that? The redhead male said as he was in her face. Yeah, why not come hang out with us? We can show you a good time. The bald one said as he liked his lips. I have declined, I'm not into wannabe thugs. The mysterious girl said as she was putting her index finger to her chin. What was that, you stupid bitch? A bigger bald dude pushed the other two away and towered over the girl. He grabbed the girl by the wrist and pulled closer to him. When he decided to do this, I reached for his wrist. This shocked both of them as I just literally came from nowhere. I would let her go if I were you. I wouldn't want you to cause a big scene, I said harshly as I applied more pressure to my grip. Who the F are you, mind your o dash? Arua. I didn't let him finish as I snapped his wrist. He yanked his arm away and his two other buddies went to check on him. They pulled out knives while one of the guy's hands turned crystal-like. You 𝐵𝐵 MMA kill you. All three of them charged at us. Quickly I moved the girl behind me. Well, Escanor did say never hold back anything. I ducked under a right jab from the short bald guy, and invaded a low kick that was aimed at my legs. Jumping back, I pushed forward and rammed my knee into his face, sending him flying through the water fountain and into a store window. The other two punks stopped. You're gonna pay for this, yelled the broken arm one, as he ran to his fallen comrade. They carried him away in a hurry as a crowd started to form around them. I look forward to it. Turning around, I see the girl in shock. Probably because I sent the guy flying like a rag doll. She looked at me and then to the scene and back at me. She smiled oddly and grabbed my hand. We need to get out of here before the security guards show up, she said quickly as she takes my hand. We ran out the main doors and past the parking lot. We kept running and running, not knowing where we were going. Wasabi Park 8 miles from Izuku apartment. Hey, we can stop here. I was painting between breaths. This girl was really fast and had strong but grip. Oh, sorry. We both stopped to regain our composure. I couldn't really get a proper look at her face, not mentioned her back is facing me. Suddenly she turns and around and my God. Thank you for saving me back there, you're a re. I zoned out at her words. This beauty of an angel is a relatively petite. She had fair-skinned and had a natural blush. Her eyes were slightly inward tilting, but what caught my attention was her irises were bright yellow and her pupils thin slits, making her somewhat resemble a cat, and her wide mouth is also rather feline, as both her upper and lower canines are more pointed and longer than the rest of her teeth. Her hair is ash blonde and is styled into two messy buns, numerous wild strands sticking out at all angles from their centers, making her look adorable. She also had side bangs to frame her appealing face. She wore a nice fighting tank top with low-cut dark jeans and red sneakers. Wow, she is perfect. I was lost in my own thoughts until I felt poking at my chest. Coming to my senses, the girl was pressed against my chest as she looked at me curiously. Didn't you hear what I said? I said my name is Toga, what's yours? She said cheerily as she started to smile widely. Thank God she didn't wrap her arms around for a hug. I would pass out from a nosebleed. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Izuku, I said casually, trying my best not to look down her shirt. You're not a perv. Hold it together, Izuku. Be cool. I started to shift nervously around, doing my best to look in any other direction and not her bouncy large BST in front of me. You're such a dork, especially with those glasses. Kinda adorable. She pushed me away and sprung around. Turning her head, she gazed at me while blushing. Let me treat you to some ice cream. With that, she grabbed my hand and dragged me away with her. I can feel the sun encouraging me as the day grew brighter. Pneumatic ice cream parlor. I really would have been fine with paying for both of us, Toga said as we walked out of the ice cream shop, both with our new obtained ice cream cones. She went with a supreme double strawberry with a cookie waffle cone and me a cookie dough bacon flavor one. No, it's fine. I feel like I should be paying for the trouble you went through, I calmly said with a hint of sternness in my voice. I was still mad at those BSTRDs for messing with Toga. I wonder if she always gets harassed like this on a daily basis. I notice she starts pointing towards a nearby bench. We both walked over and sat down, enjoying our ice cream while making small talk. I guess we both like over-the-top flavors here. I began to stuff my face with the ice cream, taking big bites and likes, not noticing I was getting messy. Wow, this is delicious. I turned to see Toga giggling madly. I tilted my head. I was confused. What's so funny? I asked. I probably was looking like a lost puppy. Toga wiped the tears away from her eyes as she kept giggling away. You've got a little, she said, pointing towards my face. Taking the hint, I started rubbing my cheeks, looking for whatever she was referring to. She laughed again, seeing at how visibly confused I probably looked. Don't worry, silly goose, I'll get it, she said between giggles. Without hesitation, she leaned forward and gently liked the ice cream off my chin and lower part of my lips. She closed her eyes and licked her lips, savoring the sweet treat. What the hell? Why did you like him? I started to panic. I did my best to block a major nosebleed from happening. I can feel my face heat up and dim and I was sweating like a pig. I am so sorry, I get carried away with sweet flavors. Bad habits, I guess. Toga apologized, her entire face red. She looked blissful as the sun behind her shine on her. It's okay. You just scared me, that's all. I regained my senses and calmed down a little, trying to hide my growing bnur in the process. Thank God I have my shopping bag in my lap. You sure are a funny one, maybe next. Toga was interrupted by her phone going off. She quickly stood up and answered the call. Her happy face suddenly went to a dull expression as she muttered quick responses. I wonder if everything is all right. I began to worry. I stood up, also throwing the rest of my ice cream away while walking towards her. Hey 𝐒𝐿, I'm sorry, but I have to go. Hopefully we can meet again sometime, and thank you for everything, I owe you one. I watched Toga run away as she blew me a kiss and waved me goodbye. Her buns were bouncing around magically as she finally was out of my sight. Man, I didn't get her contact info. I stood there awkwardly. Suddenly my phone vibrated in my breathes. Looking at it, I see 32 missed calls and 23 messages from my mother. Looking at the time, I was 2 hours late. But beat. I ran home as fast as I could. How was I going to explain this to my mom? I hope Escanor has my back on this. I hope I can meet you someday again, Toga. I kept trying not to imagine her BRST again. DMN perv. End of POV. Camino, Yokohama Villains Bar. Toga B. Hey guys, I'm back. I kicked open the old wood door and proceeded to jump inside. What can I say, I was still in a somewhat happy mood. Where the hell were you? You took forever. Darby said harshly, but I knew he was worried about me since he is a big brother figure to me. I was held up by these whack jobs, but don't worry, I took care of them with a little help. With this I noticed Darby's eyes flicker with curiosity. So who was your knight and shining armor this time? And how long before you kill him? Darby said as he pulled a chair out and sat down. He was observing my every move. Oh, would you relax? His name was Izuku and he was an unusual kid. For one, he is strong, and not to mention his eyes are dreamy. I remembered those golden eyes. They reminded me of the sun, on how bright and appealing they were. It's like they sparkled with life. Wow, aren't you a fangirl? Does not answer my question though. How long before you get bored and kill him and move on to the next one? He starts chuckling as he plays with his blue fire and his hands. I don't know, I forgot to give him my number. Since you called out of nowhere, ruining my playtime. I stomped on the floor angrily while throwing a small tantrum. I hated when people ruin my playtime, especially with cute guys or luring ugly ones in and slicing them open. Hey, relax, we have another mission, that is why I called you. Tomura is waiting for you in the back, so you better hurry off, Darby said quietly, unfazed by my actions. Oh, man. Ugh, fine. I walked away and towards the back. Then I should have gave him my number. Oh well, I will find him somehow. I smiled creepily as I can almost taste his BLD on my lips. I wish that ice cream was his BLD instead, I would enjoy that more. What can I say, I have bad habits. Day of the entrance exam, a campus RSHD. I'm glad I made it on time. Izuku stopped to catch his breath. He was running a little late because he slept in. He was lucky enough that Escanor and his mother burst into his room this morning to wake his butt up. So this is where it all starts here. Izuku stared at the huge buildings at the front of the campus, and noticed a line forming by the entrance. A lot of kids came out today. He walked towards the line, fixing his glasses, and said hello as he passed other students, but no one acknowledged him. It had been 8 months since Izuku had agreed to become the successor of the Sin of Pride, and during all this time he learned a lot from Escanor and developed many techniques that Escanor never knew. Escanor broke down Izuku to the bare bones, destroying his pride some days and others encouraging it. He also didn't want Izuku to be consumed by arrogance too much. It can be used against him in battle, but even still that's the issue when you bear the sin of pride. But Izuku has more control over his actions and knows when he goes too far, but at times he just can't help it. He trained his body to the maximum limits because as he used sunshine it did have effects on his body, causing burns and vomiting blood after the sun went down, while he will feel immense pain. Since sunshine is an ability meant for an angel, not a human. But what confused Escanor and Izuku the most was that Izuku never grows largely as Escanor did, only his muscles expand and his eyes turn brighter. They couldn't figure it out, but Escanor did notice that Izuku does have better control on manipulating the sun magic to glorious extents than he ever could. In Izuku's normal form after he received the power, he still remained the same size, 5 feet 11 inch and body build, but as he uses his power only his muscles grow triple in size and his magic is more concentrated. Now his 15-year-old's physique didn't compare to Escanor overall large skyscraper body, but that was fine because he more of a battle tank. Izuku quietly groaned as he was shuffling around while stretching. His sore muscles were aching from the strain he'd put them under from last night's training with Escanor. Thinking back on it, he lifted one of hands and pop it, which caught the attention of those nearby. "Here. Is that you, Deku?" Izuku was startled by the sudden call of his name, torn from his thoughts by the familiar voice. He turned and spotted Bakugo walking towards him. "Oh," Izuku said quietly. He hasn't seen Bakugo since the incident in the forest, since he was in the hospital recovering from a Escanor blow to the gut all these months, at least that's what his mother told him. Bakugo looked a little shocked in an irritated sort of way. "What in God's name are you doing here? You don't have a quirk, and what the hell? How did you get taller and your DMN eyes are different? Are those glasses, you dim and nerd?" He pointed at me as he started to fume for whatever reason. A lot of things changed these past months, and most for the better. Izuku walked closer and now he was face to face in front of Bakugo. Izuku was a little taller now compared in height between the two. "I have decided to join the hero course and I have awoken a quirk as a late bloomer." "Is that so, you Biasu?" Katsuki tilted his head with a sadistic smile. "Well, let me just say this. Congratulations." Izuku was dumbfounded as he fell over. He didn't believe what he heard from Bakugo. Did he really just congratulate him, and what the hell is he smiling now for? "Look man, I just want to say I'm sorry for picking on all these years, and I know I went a little far by beating the SHT out of you, especially the forest incident. I barely remember anything." Bakugo suddenly rushed in as he gave him an awkward hug. The people around them started to whisper amongst themselves, thinking the two were gay for each other. "Hey man, it's all cool. You can let go now," Izuku said as he slowly pushed Bakugo off of him. He still didn't fully understand what was going on. What the hell is going on, thought Izuku, though Bakugo hated him. What happened to him? "Sorry about that." "Hey, but that still means that I don't like you, Deku." He pointed at Izuku but suddenly regained his composure as he noticed the people around were all blushing and staring oddly. "What the hell are y'all staring at? Y'all want to die?" Bakugo sent small sparks in the air which caused everyone around them to scatter like roaches. Maybe he hasn't changed. Izuku watched the onlookers run away with their tails between their legs. "Hey, do you want to go the entrance together?" Izuku offered to the blonde teen. He shrugged as he stuffed his hands into his pockets. They were walking towards the entrance together now. "So Bakugo, are you okay? No offense, but I thought you really hated me." Izuku decided to break the ice. "Yeah. It's complicated you, but I don't know, I guess I've been taking anger classes now, and not to mention I met someone." Bakugo blushed. "She's been helping me a lot these past months." Bakugo's face was red as a tomato. He ducked his head low, ignoring Izuku's small smile on his face. "So you got a girlfriend here?" Izuku said knowingly. "Shut up, you j-rabu-stabu," yelled Bakugo as his whole body turned red and he was shaking while throwing a mini tantrum. Izuku's sweat dropped. He never seen Bakugo act like this before, so it freaked him out still. He smiled slightly at random good memories he had with Bakugo when they were just kids before the bullying. Bakugo was abrasive and frankly a total butt to pretty much everyone, including Izuku with the beatings and bullying, but now he was a bit more friendly around Izuku, which still freaked him out. Maybe it's because of this girl he's dating. Now I'm curious to see who it is. Izuku was now curious to see who had Bakugo on a leash. So tell me more about your quirk. Deku still doesn't explain your growth spurt. Not to mention those stupid glasses you have on. Katsuki demanded, giving him a sideways glare as smoke magically came out of his head. Izuku nodded. Well, it's byproduct of my power. Let's just say I can produce heat and light attacks, and the glasses, well, they make me look cool, don't they? Izuku flashed off his glasses as the glare reflected off and blinded Bakugo eyes. He couldn't tell Bakugo the whole truth just yet about his power. He had to keep it a secret until Escanor says it's okay. So you're a late bloomer here, and these heat and light attacks sound interesting, but nothing compared to my Hell Blast. Bakugo rapped his knuckles against each other, letting out small explosions trying to scare Izuku. Just you wait, Izuku. I will dominate you and everyone here. You remember that? We shall see about that. I'm no longer a scared little boy. I will show how far I've come, Izuku promised as he smiled widely, not noticing he tripped on his shoelaces. What the hell, knew it can't end like this, he thought as he waited for the concrete to impact his precious face. Except he didn't hit the ground and just remained suspended in midair. Bakugo gave him a crazy look as Izuku was yelling and squirming in the air. He was suspended somehow. Maybe another power he didn't know he had. Izuku, are you all right? I heard a quiet voice from above me. I looked up to find a teenage girl standing there with her hand on my limited edition All Might first issue shoulder bag. And demon, she was drop-dead stunning. She had shoulder-length brown hair, big chocolate brown eyes, and rosy pink cheeks. She wore a standard uniform, but DMN, I can tell her BRST were barely being contained. What the hell is wrong me? First Toga and now here. Carefully, she helped me upright until I was back on my feet. She clapped her hands together and smiled. I'm sorry I used my quirk without asking, but I figured it would have been bad luck if you tripped before the exam, you know. Are you nervous also? I'm kinda nervous too. Good luck on your test and take care, hopefully we can meet on the field. Before I had the chance to respond, she was walking off quickly. I noticed Bakugo just staring after her with a face like he couldn't decide whether to be annoyed or something. The F was that? She has a weird quirk if she can make you float. A smile spread over my face. For some reason I felt the same feeling I felt with Toga a couple of days ago. While she was pretty, I can't believe I got to talk with her, I said. Dreamily. What the F, you didn't say anything, and on top of that I saw you staring at her BRST area. You DMN perv. Bakugo snapped at me as he was walking in the same direction as the girl. Wipe that weird look on your face. It's creepy as F. I followed after Bakugo. I couldn't really believe how much he changed. I looked at my watch and it was 9 a.m. And I hope the introductions don't take so long. I'm screwed if it's after 12 you. Auditorium. Me and Bakugo entered the auditorium together. We found a seat in the back since the whole entire front section was packed. Suddenly lights starting shining on the stage as a pro hero named Present MIC came out. The man had a weird haircut, some funky glasses, and a large odd speaker wrapped around his long neck. He was also being obnoxiously loud. Welcome everyone to you, he shouted so loudly into his mini MIC and jabbed his fingers out to either side of him at the crowd. Everybody put your hands up, hey. He started doing weird disco dances as finished it off with a split. Everyone including me were unamused at his entrance and introduction. Wow, tough crowd. MIC laughed awkwardly. I'm gonna give you the rundown on how this exam is gonna go. Are you ready? He jumped up and did a pose. It became more silent in the room. Though I respected him as a pro hero, he was just so annoyingly loud. Not to mention kinda awkward with large crowds. I wish he can hurry up with this. Bakugo growled beside me as he started to tap his leg quickly and heavily. Pay attention everyone. MIC shouted. We'll be seeing if you got the skills to survive a 10-minute practice run at our replica city district. You can take whatever equipment you want, just gather at your designated meeting area after my presentation. Also you'll have cards underneath your seats for different districts. Does everyone understand? He finished off with a moonwalk on the stage. Man, this guy was sure wild. I see Bakugo looking over his card he had for his test. I pulled mine out and noticed ours were different districts. I see we have different districts, yeah, I muttered quietly. I would love to show you what I can do. Yeah, right. Bakugo dismissed my comment. If you got stuck with me, I would steal all the points from you and you will be forced to leave. A spark ignited in his eyes, and in reality I know Bakugo and he meant to say good luck prick, at least I think, but at the same time it's the objective of the game to gather as much points as possible. MIC started talking again. There'll be loads of robot villains spread all over the districts and each one will be rated as a 1, 2, or 3-pointer. Your job is to use your quirk to take out as many of them as you can and rack up a high score. Also, you can't attack other competitors directly, you will be disqualified. Good luck out there. I glanced to the others in the room, noticing they looked pump up as some could barely sit still. I was also ready for some action. I couldn't wait to test my abilities. With that, everyone started to exit the auditorium and made their way to their starting point. I hope you don't embarrass yourself out there, Bakugo said as he started to walk away. He pushed others out of his way. Good luck, Bakugo, I whispered to myself as I made my way out. Looking at my watch, it's 10:30 a.m. District 9 Entrance B. Holy hell, this place is huge. I gaped at the massive duplicate city that laid out before us. All the buildings look real and stores were spot on. SHT, a population can live here. I figured 𝐻𝐸 was one of the best hero core schools around the world, but Dimon, this was something else. It was also notorious for going to extremes to train heroes, but this was more than I ever expected. I glanced around at some of the other students near me, noticing some of them had an odd and weird equipment on them. I guess it was use for their individual quirks. Man, people are really going all out here. I looked around the area until my eyes suddenly found a familiar figure. It was the girl who had kept me from falling. Maybe I should say thank you for helping me out. Right. I muttered to myself to ease my nerves as I adjusted my glasses, slowly making my way over there. Hey you, stop right there. A voice came from behind me. That young lady is trying to concentrate. Don't go over there and interrupt her thoughts. I turned around to see a glasses-wearing teen, who walked over and placed a firm hand on my shoulder. There was a warning look in his eyes. Who are you? I never seen you before. Are you here to sabotage us during the exam? He was about the same height as me as our eyes locked onto each other. Black met gold. I already didn't like this guy. I grabbed his hand and twisted it off of me. No, but next you put your hand on me like that I burn it off. He looked shocked as he walked off angrily. I hear several kids started laughing as they watched, commenting on how he tried to act tough but backfired and how he walked away. I can hear them making comments about how mysterious I was. Man, people sure are weird. Start. Everyone stopped and turned towards present MIC, who was standing on an observation tower. We all looked confused, but the pro hero laughed and yelled again. What are you waiting for? There ain't a countdown in a real battle, you dumbass. Get those chicken legs moving. What? I blinked, then realized that everyone else was already running into the district. Oh, here I ran after them, desperate to catch up with the rest of the group. Hold on, 𝐒𝐸, you got this, take your time. I slowed down, looked at my watch, and at the sun. It grew brighter and I felt my magic started to grow. Escanor told me that if I wear my glasses during the daytime, my magic stockpiles and grows more than when I'm in powered-up form, so I can unleash a devastating attack. Boom! A building suddenly exploded next to me, making me duck for cover. A red-haired teen jumped out of the building as he came in front of a one-pointer robot. Target locked on. Kill! The robot lunged at the teen, but the teen ducked under the robot's swing and grabbed the bot by its thin wire neck. Then I see his whole arm harden instantly. He crushed its neck, destroying the circuits. 5 minutes and 6 seconds left. MIC's voice rang throughout the battleground. Dimon, I don't have any points yet. I need to find some robots fast. I came across an intersection that was crawling with robots, but they were all being taken out by a mass of students. He saw the girl from earlier touch several of them so that they floated up, then with a clap of her hands, they fell and were destroyed. She set her hands on her knees, breathing heavily before she moved on. That's 28 points. 28, I was impressed by how many she collected with such a simple quirk. The teen with glasses from earlier came out of nowhere and destroyed a robot's head with a huge kick. That's 45 points. He yelled out as if he moved on to the next. 45, that kiss but has that many. I am running out of time. I was about to charge into the mess of everything until the ground began to shake. I started to smile hungrily as a massive robot appeared further down the street, destroying a building in the process. It had a big 0 on its forehead. Whoa, that has to be worth more, right? The other students were already scrambling to get out of its way as the robot shot laser beams and mini rockets, destroying everything in sight. Oh! I froze and looked over to the source of the sound. I heard another cry of pain. Realizing that the girl who had helped me before had collapsed and was trapped under some rubble. She looked like she was gonna be sick and couldn't move. The huge robot came their way as its feet was gonna crush her. "She's gonna get crushed," I yelled. I ran full speed towards them. I took my glasses off. I could feel my magic bubble as it began to swirl ferociously. I charged my magic into my legs and surged into the air like a rocket towards the 0-pointer. I clenched my fist as I forced my power through my arm, burning my entire shirt with the raw heat it gave off. Not to mention my muscles started to grow bigger and bulge. Remember, Izuku, when you do a special move, always yell with a battle cry. Show everyone who you are. Escanor words rang throughout my head, clinching my buttocks and using all my force. Star Fall Bullet. I drove my fist into the huge 0-pointer face, unleashing sunshine devastating force. I pulverized the robot and everything behind it blasted away with waves of intense heat. As the buildings exploded away and all the metal melted and turned into ash, the whole area became encased in massive waves of intense heat, which also damaged the other robot circuits nearby and eventually destroying them. The shock waves blasted me high in the air. I took advantage of this opportunity. Sticking my hands out, I concentrated more magic to each of my fingertips. Scattered Star Shot. I unleashed 10 mini-suns from each fingertips and shot them in different directions, where I also saw several other large 0-pointers. From the high view I have of the whole city, massive explosions happened throughout the city, which caused devastating shockwaves throughout the entire land as the building's windows blew up and small stores being ripped up from the foundation and flew away. Bystanders ran trying to escape the heat and falling debris. Hopefully none got hurt. Wow, these machines are so fragile, but I'm not surprised they can't stand up against me. I wish I had more of challenge, I said as I landed on the ground, causing a crater in it. Time's up, everyone remain where you are. A different voice rang out through the city. The city was burning and destroyed heavily. Several of the other examinees looked in fear and kept a wary distance from me. I could see their shocked and scared expressions. They couldn't believe the destruction I caused with just 2 attacks. Destroying a robot of the 0-pointer's size with only 1 blow was crazy, I bet, but natural for me. What the hell is he? He blew up the entire city with 1 punch, and did you see his other attack? He looked so average before the test started. What the F? How the heck does a guy with a quirk like that end up being here? I turn towards the crowd as I see them shudder in terror. I wouldn't be surprised if I were you. My name Izuku Midoriya, and don't y'all forgot it. I began to walk away, but suddenly I was stopped by a small grabbed onto my arm. Looking down, I noticed the girl was holding onto my arm for dear life. She looked ready to throw up. 𝐻𝐻. Oh, you, my NA. Me is Uraraka nice too? She passed out onto me. I grabbed her and lifted her into my arms bridal style. She smelled so sweet, like cherry blossoms. And Diamond, her BST are pressing against my chest, not to mention my bare chest as my muscles grew slightly larger. She is one lucky girl to be held by me like this. I smiled down at her adorable cute face. In it, Izuku, don't get up, no, please hold it in, damn it. I ran past the crowd. Hopefully I can find a medical ward to take Uraraka to so she can recover. I looked down at the poor girl and she was in another world as she was muttering sorry and thank yous to me. I noticed the teen with the glasses was watching from further away as it almost felt like he was observing me. What can I say, I'm the perfect specimen, I said proudly. End of POV. 1 week later, the results from your test results should be in today, right? Izuku's mother said as she and her son sat on the couch watching The Price is Right. Escanor was cooking breakfast in the kitchen. Yeah, I know I passed, but still I got in trouble for blowing up most of the city though, Izuku said quietly as he was focused on the screen trying to distract himself from the fear of failing. He fixed his glasses nervously. Well, I mean that's true, but hey, at least no one got hurt, right? Except for those robots here. Yeah, Izuku smiled happily. Looking towards the kitchen, he saw Escanor giving him a thumbs up and he returned the gesture. A knock came from the front door. Everyone looked at it. I will go get it. Izuku left to the front door. Izuku. she called out, getting the boys' attention. "It's here!" 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 exclaimed, nervousness all over her face. Her son looked absolutely anxious. Izuku took the envelope, he made his way to the couch and began to tear open the envelope. Escanor and 𝐒𝐭𝐴 watched the boy as he opened the letter up. Clearing his throat, "Dear Izuku Midoriya, you passed the written exam with flying colors, and did very well during practical exam by acquiring a total of 120 points and did very well by saving the life of a student in the process. But you also destroyed most of the city, so after a long decision of whether to keep you or not, we came to the final conclusion. You have passed the entrance exam. And welcome to your hero academia, the next step of your life as hero." Izuku finished as he started to tear up. He couldn't believe how far he came and how much it means to him. 𝐒𝐭𝐴 and Escanor ran and hugged Izuku. They all cried as they cheered him on. Izuku couldn't wait to start a new chapter in his life. The path of becoming a hero was closer than ever. An explanation of Izuku's power and abilities. Sunshine. As the sun rises, every hour that passes, Izuku power grows stronger than the last until it reaches its peak at noon, reversing the process as the sun goes down. Final impact. Izuku concentrates his inner magic and releases it to deliver a power beam of heat and light that incinerated anything in its path. Kinda like Vegeta's final flash scattered star shot. Izuku shoots out mini ball of stars from his fingertips and can control the at will. Heat, fire nullification. Izuku is immune against fire and heat attacks. Heat combustion. Izuku can build up so much heat, he can release it throughout the area, causing massive heat waves. Perfect sun. Izuku can create a huge sun and expand it by adding magic. Kinda like Goku's Spirit Bomb Star Fall Bullet. Izuku can encase his punches and kicks with heat magic, causing burns to his opponents when it connects, also leaving a devastating impact. Light portal. Izuku can create portals only to places he's been and remembers. Hellstar counter. Izuku can take massive physical damage from attacks and use it to generate his power. Kinda like revenge counter star collapse. Izuku can generate heat to its peak and unleash it as a bomb that can destroy everything in a 3-mile radius. The problem with this attack is that it makes him fatigued after using it, rendering him useless as he has to regain his magic again. Also, I have redeemed Bakugo in this chapter. In truth, he has beaten and bullied Izuku, but I feel he should somewhat still be his friend. Bakugo does not remember what happened to him as he came out of the hospital. His girlfriend would be relieved next chapter, and she would have a lot of positive influence on him. Kinda like Bulma and Vegeta from DBZ type of thing. Also, Izuku pride conflicts with natural shy character. He's different from Escanor in many ways, but also the same in a few ways also. Izuku can't grow at all as Escanor when in sunshine mode due to Izuku has more of compatible body, but his muscles do grow as large as Escanor. Izuku has more control on the use of the sun magic, but he sustains more damage when nightfall hits since he takes more of a toll on his human body. Also, main pairings are gonna be Urakax Izuku and Togax Izuku, and all three of them have to get along together. A staff room. The various staff of were looking over the final scores formed the examinees who had passed the exam. The scores were all displayed on a huge monitor screen, giving them a full view of their profiles in order to assess the top students. Did you see how he vaporized the robot with one punch? One of the teachers in the back said. That kid Izuku sure is powerful. He may be powerful, but don't forget he destroyed most of the city also. Power like that left unchecked is dangerous to everyone, another teacher argued as she stood up. Hey, now let's settle down. Let's talk about Bakugo Katsuki. He ranked second with 102 points. His powerful quirk let him pick up the pace as the exam went on. He picked off the 1 and 2 pointers early on. Then while the other examinees were running from the 0-pointer, he went wild and stacked up a huge amount of points. A large teacher said as he was snacking on chips, looking over the profile of Bakugo again. Compared to, a younger member of the staff pointed at the score profile for Izuku. That kid placed first in overall villain points and the only one with rescue points. Yeah, I never seen someone destroy the 0-pointer with one punch before except All Might present MIC through a peace sign in the air. He may have a powerful destructive quirk, but the kid earned his right to be here just like the rest of us. Give him a chance, but the injuries people can receive if he's not careful. He literally made all the metal melt down to ash in the area, Recovery Girl mentioned. If he's not careful, he can burn those around him with that heat, not to mention incinerate them if he's not careful. That's true, but no one got hurt, another hero added. If he gets to a point where it gets out of hand, then it's our job to handle it. We don't want this kid to become a villain now, do we? In the back of the room, a man observed the conversation, who wore a silver tattered scarf and black jacket, looked bored at the meeting. He looked over Izuku's profile again. DMN. Why do I always get the weird ones the next day? Izuku apartment. Izuku beep beep wake your but UP beep beep. I'm up already. I threw my pillow at the DMN alarm clock, knocking over it and several stuff off my desk. Getting out of bed, I went to the mirror and noticed something was off. Wait, what could it be? I looked at my phone and saw the time. Holy f, be late. I screamed so loud the whole neighborhood probably heard it. Izuku, are you alright? My door was blasted off the hinges as a scanner, and my mother ran in quickly, checking if anything was wrong. Panic looks on their faces. My baby, what's the matter? What happened? Are you okay? Did you have another nightmare about the boogeyman? My mother was shaking furiously as she started to cry. Didn't help that a scanner lifted both of us off the ground into a bear hug. Young Izuku, you should have told me you have nightmares. Escanor starting crying as he squeezed tighter, suffocating me. My mother enjoyed it though, as she started crying on Escanor bare chest. I swear these two are something else. No, I'm late for school. I managed to get out of his grip and ran to the bathroom, almost knocking over Rita, my axe. Looking at the mirror, I had bags underneath my eyes. I didn't get much sleep last night. That's what happens when you dream about Toga in maid outfit as she is serving you ice cream while Uraraka is giving you a massage, I said, blushing at the wild dream I had about them. I really need to find Toga again, and hopefully I can talk more with Uraraka. A campus getting to you. Was the easy since my mother dropped me off. After 10 minutes of saying goodbye to each other awkwardly in the car, I entered through the main building, but I couldn't believe how big the insides of the building were. I was racing through the hallways to find my classroom. I had gotten lost many times and entered the wrong classrooms by accident. I was sweating like crazy, and didn't help how I had to stop to adjust my glasses every 5 seconds. Where the hell is it? I was painting hard, trying to stable my breathing. How hard is it to find a classroom? Finally, what seemed like forever, I finally found class 1A. I reached for the door handle, remembering only the best of the best have class 1A, and these guys are the best of the best to become heroes. Oh please, I got this. I opened the door widely. Walking in, I was met with a full class of kids who were talking amongst themselves. No one noticed me. I saw Bakugo sitting in a chair with his feet propped up on another desk. He had a smirk on his face as he was arguing with someone that looks familiar, teen wearing glasses. Oh SHT, it's Mr. Kiss, but I groaned quietly. Remove your dirty feet from the desk this instant, you thug. I see the glasses, teen ordered at Bakugo. That's very disrespectful to your classmates and me. He turned red in frustration. Bakugo sneered at him. Are you actually telling me what to do? Where the hell do you come from? A DMN rock you JRK face. The teen backed up and pointed a thumb at his chest. My name is Tenya Ida. I come from Sumai Private School, and I'm here to become a pro hero. Sumai. Bakugo replied disdainfully. You're a DMN rich snob. Just another reason to blow your butt up. He started making sparks again around his hands. Blow me up. Are you sure you want to be a hero? Not with that attitude you won't, leader said calmly as he backed up more. I still waited by the door, enjoying the scene before me, but sadly both boys noticed me hovering awkwardly by the door. Leader came my way, much to my discomfort. Pleasure to meet you again. My name is Dash. I already heard your name. I cut him off quickly. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and don't forget it, I said with a little sternness behind my words. Izuku, I must apologize for accusing you for sabotage, leader declared. I completely didn't think before speaking, I hate to admit it, but you surpassed me during the test more than I can ever imagine. No hard feelings. Just don't ever put your hand like that on me again unless we are battling each other. I walked past him and came up by Bakugo's desk. I see you passed. Why am I not surprised? Bakugo huffed. The real surprise is you standing here in this room. Magically you develop a quirk, your whole attitude changed, and lastly I'm surprised you still talk to me honestly. Do I see him look at his desk in annoyance. Honestly, I don't know either. You may have beaten me up almost to death. But I don't know. I just will always see you as my friend. I said quietly. Why was I still talking to him? He apologized and I knew he felt sorry, but why? Maybe it's because we have a lot in common. And we can never get rid of each other. We were both prideful in our own ways. Hey, it's you. The guy that almost fell before the exams, a voice from behind called out. I spun around only to blush furiously when I realized it was Uraraka. She smiled widely at me and I couldn't help but notice that the school uniform looked really good on her and it really shapes against her curvy body. I bet her melons just want to be free. What the F? Stop right now, you demon pervert. I turned red even more. Sometimes I think I have the sin of lust instead of pride, a byproduct I assume from Escanor. You made it in after all, she exclaimed. By the way, that punch of yours was so freaking cool. You blew that big robot up with one shot in the city. She was bouncing up and down like a child at a candy store. Thank you, it was no big deal at all. Scratching the back of my head nervously, I couldn't stop staring at her eyes. They were also appealing like togas. Here. Yes, it was. You saved my life. I mean that's true and all beau. So you're the one that blew a robot up with a one punch and destroyed the entire city. Bakugo chimed into the conversation. He looked rather annoyed with me. Probably since he may have seen the aftermath of my technique. Yeah, that was me. I should have known it was you, you Bisu. Bakugo stood up from his chair and stared me down. I replied back with the same energy. As our auras grew and swelled, sending chills to the people around us. Hey guys, I think now is not a good time for that. I hear Uraraka tried to defuse the situation, as she placed a hand on my shoulder and stood between us. If you're here to disrupt my precious nap time, then please leave and drop out. A random voice stopped us as we looked at the floor behind Uraraka. She also turned and her face twisted a little as she noticed the really creepy face poking out of a big yellow sleeping bag. The man inside looked homeless and wasted. The man's voice was deep and low. This is the hero course, not some daycare for a bunch of crybaby kids. Get your acts together. He pulled out a milk box and scat it all in one go, burping loudly when he finished. This guy is weird. Why the hell does he have a milk box like that? I stepped back a little to avoid him and his glare. The man crawled out of his sleeping bag and walked to stand in front of the rest of the class. I'm your homeroom teacher, Shota Aizawa. Pleasure meeting you all. This guy is our homeroom teacher. I stared at the man in disbelief. That means he's a pro hero, but I've never seen or heard about him. Why does he look so worn down? The teacher reached into his sleeping bag and pulled out a bunch of blue and white track uniforms. This is sudden, but put these on and go to the PE grounds. Hurry up, let's go. We all shuffled along and did what he asked. Minutes later, outside on the track field. A quirk assessment test. Aizawa nodded. Yup. All of you get ready. Wait. Uraraka spoke up beside me. What about introductions and council meetings? She did have a point, and she still smells like cherry blossoms in the springtime and her hair looked so silky smooth. Focus, you son of a bitch, and stop looking at her. Who the hell has time for that? Aizawa muttered, looking at us weirdly. UA is so successful because we the teachers have the freedom to do what we want and teach our students in our own ways. He is not wrong. I read about in an article last month on the in-depth of the school and operations of the basic practices. Not to mention the 3-hour documentary that covered over it was also amazing. I see him pull out a tablet from his pocket and tapped on some kind of app that was linked up with the school system. Let's just get to it. Bakugo, how far could you hurl a baseball in middle school? Bakugo shrugged as he was kicking the dirt around him. 77 meters. Give it another go, Aizawa told him, tossing a softball at Bakugo casually and pointing at a circle of ground used for baseball pitches. Use your quirk this time. As long as you don't leave the circle, don't you dare hold back. Bakugo brushed shoulders with me as he gave me a side glance. He stretched his arms for a moment as he walked into the circle. He grinned viciously at the ball. You're asking for it, die. As he launched the ball, suddenly a huge explosion erupted from his palm, propelling the ball way farther than he would have been able to throw it normally. Die, is that really what he came up with on the top of his head? I muttered quietly to myself. 𝐒𝐻𝐢𝐫 giggled at my comment, which made me blush. Damn it, I'm digging a deeper hole. I notice Aizawa watched his tablet intently. I assume he was measuring the distance the ball was thrown. Before you can think about training, you need to know your uppermost limit. That's how we form the basis of your hero training. He showed us the final score and the class was shocked to see that Bakugo had thrown the ball over 700 meters. Are you serious? A kid behind me with spiky red hair grinned a little nervously. That's crazy as hell. Another teen, a girl with pink skin and gleaming yellow eyes, clapped her hands together. This looks like fun. We can use our quirks all we like and no holding back. Aizawa shifted slightly. It looks fun. Really, I didn't know we were at a playground. The man suddenly looked a lot more serious as he glared at them from behind those dark locks of hair covering his face. I didn't think training for you to become heroes was supposed to be fun. The student who ranks last in these 8 tests will be judged as having 0 potential and be expelled immediately, and if that's not fun for you, then you might as well drop out immediately. Wow, this guy is sure tough, but he does have a point. Slackers in here need to be at their top game. Only the strong will prevail, and it's obvious I am. Hey, you with the green hair, step forward. Show us what you can do. Suddenly all eyes were upon me as I was confused. Do you know you have green hair? Or am I colorblind? Get your butt up here. Aizawa was pointing straight at me. He had a cold look on his face that said it all. I could hear the whispers among the people around me. Some were saying I was a monster during the exam and others saying I was pretty cute. I think it was 2 males. Ugh. Good luck, 𝐒𝐻𝐢𝐳. I know you can do it. Uraka gave me a pat on the back which almost knocked me over. DMN, she was stronger than she looked. I walked towards the plate. I brushed shoulders with Bakugo as he was walking back. I gave him a side glance as I smiled. Oddly, he smiled back. Still can't get use the new him. I need to find out who he is dating. I gripped the ball tightly in my hand. I'm going to send this thing flying. He did say not to hold back, right? I saw your footage during the entrance exam. I never seen a quirk like yours before. Too bad you destroyed the city in the process. What if they were people trapped in those buildings that got destroyed, or stragglers? You would had kill them without even thinking about it. Would you? Aizawa said as he started to undo his scarf slowly. In truth, I did blew up the city in the process. I took my glasses off, but I have total control over my power. After all, I'm fit to be a hero. My muscles started to grow in size. The ground below cracked. I generated heat waves throughout the field which made the people behind me sweat dramatically as they complain about it being too hot. Our eyes locked on each other as if he was concentrating on doing something. His scarf started to float around him. After a few seconds he looked frustrated but returned to his normal self. I notice his goggles around his neck. So you're the pro hero Eraserhead. Your quirk allows you erase anyone's quirk as long as you remain a line of sight with them, am I correct? Well, someone does their homework. Anyways, continue on before you bore me to death, he yawned. As he still kept he gazed on me. I knew I must have sessed him off since my power is still activated. Well, because it's not really a quirk to begin with, but he does not need to know that. Well, I will tell you one thing. You can't erase the sun. I brought my arm back and launched the ball as hard as I could. The throw sent gusts of winds and heat everywhere as everyone was blown back. The ball kept climbing higher and higher as it pierced through several clouds, eventually catching on fire. Then it disappeared from sight. I looked around as the dust was clearing up around me. The whole class was on top of each other as they massaged their swollen bump heads and sprained arms. I looked over to Aizawa. His eyes widened in shock as he was looking at my hand. It was covered in golden aura that sparked with life. Suddenly his tablet finally beeped. The ball is in orbit now past 1 hour satellites. How is that possible? He started to sweat a little on the spot. Well, that's simple. Never ask me to never hold back. You might regret that outcome, I said proudly as the sun grew brighter behind me. Everyone was looking at me in awe except a few students, including Bakugo, who looked obsessed. Makes sense, he would envious of my talent. Mr. Aizawa, the man blinked and looked up to meet my eyes again. I clenched my hand into a fist, despite it growing bigger. I'm going to be the next big hero out there. Don't fail me as a teacher or you may regret it. Aizawa grinned awkwardly. I won't let you down, kid. End of POV. Behind the trees, Toshinori, also known as All Might, assumed his muscle form and gone out to watch the 1A quirk assessment for himself. He was generally curious of the new students and especially the green hair boy named Izuku, who leveled the exam battlefield. Aizawa sure is really giving them a rough time, Toshi said as he could see that Izuku was up next. At the same time Toshi felt intense heat waves coming off from Izuku. He noticed some of the grass in the area burn to a crisp as various metal bars and statues started to melt away. Izuku threw the ball so hard it soared through the sky and out of sight. Whoa! I think I found my successor, Toshi said in awe as he was met with the shock after force, barely moving him a centimeter. I will make you a great hero, Izuku, just you wait, he declared as he took a picture of the boy. Villain's bar, hey Toga, come check this out, is this the guy you were talking about? Twice said as he was looking at his laptop. He was searching high and low for this kid because Toga wouldn't shut up about him the past couple of weeks and it was getting annoying. Let me see, Toga came from the back of the bar as she rushed in and pushed twice off the bar stool, causing the poor guy to crash into Darby, who didn't look too happy. OMG, it is. His profile picture looks adorable. I'm going to log into my account and follow him. Toga logged into her Instastar account and followed the account Izuku29sin. She was scrolling through his photos and his storyline. She smiled sadistically after each picture. Wow! He sure does post interesting stuff. She hungrily looked at one photo in particular. It was Izuku, who was shirtless, showing off his well-toned six-pack. He was holding a peace sign up and seemed to be standing next to a smaller green-haired woman who also seemed fit. They were both standing in the water of a beach. The caption read, "Happy birthday, mother. Thank you for putting up with me. Slice of cake, red heart. Well, I finally found Izuku. I can't wait until I taste your bo." Toga was giggling madly as she pulled a blade out and slowly started to like the edge, resulting in cutting her tongue. She continued to like his pictures and she started to send him messages. "You a campus, what the hell, who keeps messaging me?" Izuku was eating lunch with Leader, Uraraka, and Bakugo. He pulled out his phone and looked at his notifications. He had 13 messages from Instastar from a username KitKatPunch15. "Is everything alright?" Izuku, Uraraka said as she peered over to look at his face. "Yee. Rev. Earthint is okay." Izuku was sweating fiercely because of how close Uraraka was in his personal space. "Did your girlfriend message you, Jack?" But Bakugo butted in, trying to make the situation more awkward. Uraraka looked saddened by this comment. "No, I don't have one, you Girl Scout. Speaking of which, do you ever talk with yours?" Izuku saw how Bakugo flinch in annoyance. Uraraka started to giggle at his comeback as she returned to her cherry self. Meanwhile, Leader was observing the interaction between these two. "For your information, SHT for brains. I told her to meet us here. So you better act properly, do." Bakugo suddenly looked over Izuku's shoulder and stood up. "Hey babe, over here," he waved as he had a small smile on his face. Izuku and Uraraka turned around while Leader looked up and they were all shocked. A girl who was fairly tall with a rather mature physique. She has long black hair that was tied into a spiky ponytail with a single bang hanging on the right side of her face, and her eyes were onyx that point slightly inwards, which seems to resemble a cat. She smiled as she walked around the table to plant a kiss on Bakugo's lips. They broke off and laughed a bit while smiling fondly at each other. "So this is the guy you torture here?" She pointed straight at Izuku, who was still confused on how this girl would date and but like him. "Ah yes, my name is Izuku." "Nice to meet." Izuku stuck his hand out for a shake and the gesture was returned firmly. "Ah yes, a pleasure to meet you as well. My name is Momorozu. I'm terribly sorry I was not in class this morning. I had issues to deal with, but I'm going to be in your class from now on." She grabbed the back of Bakugo's head and tilted slightly downwards. "Also, I'm very sorry Bakugo was bullying you. Did he apologize to you yet for his actions?" Izuku was shocked to see Bakugo manhandled like that. He never seen him in this state, and to top it off, he was not even fighting back. "Yes, he has. I've forgiven him for it. I'm sorry you had to know about it." "No, it's fine. When I met Bakugo, I meet that Jack but attitude of his, but getting to know him on a deeper level. Well, he's really a good guy with dumbass ideas, but nonetheless he's charming, at least to me." She blushed as she lifted Bakugo head up towards her. He smiled at Ja. She sat down next to him and started to eat his food of chicken tenders. Izuku smiled at them. He was glad that someone at least like Bakugo like that, but hey, love can do many things. Soon after, the table started talking about topics of random things, which was mostly Uraraka and Momo, but the guys listened in and voiced their opinions. Now let's see who this Kit Kat is. Izuku tapped on his notification and was met with an artsy picture of Toga wearing yellow bikini as she smiled seductively in the camera. The caption read. Izuku fell back as he passed out from a major nosebleed. Everyone at the table was freaked out on what just happened. Trying to wake him up, it was no use. The melons were too powerful even for the sin of pride. A campus second day. After an embarrassing day yesterday, Izuku was sent home early. It was tough to explain why he had BLD all over his school uniform, but his mom bought the idea. Izuku told her, thinking it was actually a ketchup bottle that exploded on him. Poor Inko. Izuku stayed up most of the night texting back and forth with Toga, talking about their hobbies and their favorite things to do and eat. Didn't help that Toga would send him artsy pictures with the caption of her responses on it. Izuku tried his best to keep his mighty sword down, but sadly a teen boy is a teen boy. Now as he sits in the back of the class next to Uraraka on the far side, he tries his best to stay awake since he didn't get much sleep last night. Poor boy. Now I forgot to let y'all introduce yourselves to your classmates yesterday, but oh well, we can do it today. Aizawa told the whole class. He still looked tired and wasted as hell. Since you'll be stuck with each other for the next 3 years, you need to get to know each other. The easy way to build trust is to do it early as possible. You'll come up here one after another and state your name, what your quirk is, and something else about yourself. I don't care what it is, and it better not be weird or else. Sir. Ida shot his hand up. How should we proceed with the order of students? I don't care, Aizawa deadpanned as he looked annoyed. I'm going to sleep. Handle it yourselves. Don't be weird about it either. The lazy pro hero took a nap. Leader more or less organized the class introductions himself. They ended up going from the front row to the back row. First up was a girl. She was completely see-through and all you see was a floating uniform. This is kinda embarrassing with everyone looking at me, but whatever. Hi, I'm Toru Hagekyu. My quirk is called transparency, and it's kinda obvious what it does. Something else about me, oh. I like stuffed animals and other cute stuff. I'm Mashirao Jiro, said the next student, a blonde guy with a huge tail coming from his butt. My quirk is just my tail. It's more or less a third arm, but it helps me maintain my balance and really packs a punch. Something about me, I practice martial arts and wrestling. Next up was another blonde guy but with black, lightning-shaped highlights in his hair. He grinned confidently. Hey, I'm Denki Kaminari, my quirk is electrification. I can let loose a bunch of awesome electricity from my body and shock people by touching them. I kinda short-circuit if I go over my wattage limit. It kinda SCKS though. I'm a hero Kirishima, declared the next boy. He had spiky red hair atop his head. He flexed one of his arms and the skin on his hand became much tougher looking. My quirk is called hardening. My skin just hardens, but I can punch through solid concrete and make pretty sized dents in steel. I'm a huge fan of MMA. I guess I'm next. The next person was a girl with long teal hair tied in a huge blue bow. She had very large eyes, hands, and a rather wide mouth. I'm Tsuyu Asui. My quirk is called frog form. I can do a lot of frog-like things. Like jump really far, climb walls, swim fast. My tongue can extend for several meters. Maybe because of my quirk, I'm pretty sensitive to cold. I get sleepy. Something about me is that I love eating sweat things and I love to cook. She croaked away back to her seat. The next guy was a teen with rounded elbows. Well, I'm Hanta Zero. My quirk is tape. I can shoot this material that's kind of like tape from my elbows. It's a lot stronger than regular tape, though. It can support my body weight pretty easily. And well, I like reading books. He grinned. Next was a huge guy with a mask over his mouth and 6 arms. I'm Mizo Shoji. My quirk is dupliarms. I can create replicas of my body parts like my mouth, ears, and eyes. I've never had desires except I want to open up my own smoothie bar. Everyone looked confused on his longing. The next guy was extremely sparkling. I am Yuga Ema, another diamond blonde teen announced with a dramatic pose as glitter went everywhere. My quirk is the fabulous naval laser. I can shoot a laser from my belly button. But if I shoot it for more than a second, I get a tummy ache. Another fabulous fact about me is that I speak French and I'm very attractive with the appealing people. Bakugo was up next, scowling as he walked past the crowded desks. The name's Katsuki Bakugo, my quirk is explosion. All you need to know is that I can blow up anyone's as here. I'm gonna be the #1 hero, so stay out of my way you extras. As Bakugo returned to his seat he noticed Momo was glaring at him. He apologized quickly and looked to his desk. Wow, she really does have him whipped here. Interesting still. Izuku saw the quick interaction between the two. He smiled and continued his focus on the introductions. My name is 𝐭𝐭𝐲. My quirk is called earphone jack. I can insert them into objects and send the sound of my heartbeat through them. I can also hear pretty well, even through really thick concrete walls. Oh, these bad boys also stretch. She showed them by letting one of the jacks extend until it was several feet long before she retracted it. I can play music with a few different instruments and I love rock and roll. My turn finally, exclaimed the pink-skinned girl, who bounced to the front of the class. I'm Mina Ashido and my quirk is acid. It lets me secrete corrosive acid from my skin, which is why I got this hot purple-pink tone to me. I can control its solubility and viscosity, but I like using it to surf on whatever I want. If I use it for too long, I start losing my own resistance to it, damaging my skin in the process. I like to break dance and partying. My name is Momo Yorozu. My quirk is called creation. I can produce objects from any exposed part of my body. I can create virtually anything, except for living things, of course. All I need is to understand the object's atomic configuration and a little time. I enjoy reading and drinking tea in my spare time, and also my boyfriend Bakugo is really handy around the house. She smiled widely. Izuku noticed Bakugo was blushing madly as he was trying to regain his composure. Everyone was dead silent thinking, how doesn't but like him get her appealing girl like her? That's right, so you pervs you better stay away from her, you got that? Bakugo declares as he let his explosions out, causing most people to cower in fear and others in annoyance. The next student was a teenage boy with white and red hair divided evenly down the middle. On the left side of his face, covering his eye, was a burned scar. In addition, his eyes were different colors, the left was icy blue and the right was gray. He spoke quietly. I'm Shoto Todoroki. My quirk is half hot, half cold. I can generate ice from my right side and fire from my left, but I won't use my left side in battle. I like snow cones and cake. My name is Rikido Soto. My quirk is called Sugar Rush. If I ingest 10 grams of sugar, my strength gets multiplied 5-fold for 3 minutes. But if I try to use it for too long, my body gets really tired and shuts down for a bit. Something interesting about me is that I like to bake desserts. Especially cake. He said as he looks at Todoroki with a big grin. Well, I guess I'm up next, Uraraka muttered as she slowly made her way up. Hi, I'm Okiko Uraraka. My quirk is zero gravity. If I touch an object, it loses its gravitational pull and starts to float. For now, I can make objects up to 4 tons weightless. If I use it for a while, I start to get kinda sick and puke. If I had to pick something to say about myself, I'd say I like cat's paws or the paws of small animals. She finished and skipped happily towards her desk. Izuku smiled and told her a good job. It was Izuku's turn next. He walked towards the front. He can feel the stares on his back intensify with each step. He turned around and everyone was staring at him, waiting for him to speak. Izuku took his glasses off and his uniform jacket off. He felt his uniform shirt get tighter and tighter as his muscles expanded. He noticed a few looks staring at him oddly. He asked Escanor yesterday if he can tell people about his power, and in response yes he could, but couldn't give all the details about it. Let them find out. My power is called sunshine. I'm able to wield a power that's the intensity of the sun. Izuku created a small orange-golden sun in the palm of his hand as the room lights flickered off and the sun was the only light source. I can produce intense heat and light attacks that can vaporize anything in my path. I'm the embodiment of the glorious sun. He expanded the sun more. He noticed people were backing away in awe and fear as they were sweating like crazy, muttering he's a monster. Wow, that's so thing awesome, man, that's some intense heat. And I guess another thing about me is, I'm the sin of pride. I will be the best hero that comes out of this course and you can't stand in my way, Izuku said, looking directly at Baku. He put his glasses on and the sun cancelled out. Everything went back to normal. He slowly put his coat on and made it back to his desk. He ignored the shocked looks of those around him, even Bakugo, who looked stunned at his actions. Uraraka on the other gleamed like fangirl as she grabbed Izuku's hand, begging him to show her more later. The sin of pride, everyone thought confusingly, still fully processing what just happened. Ida stood up slowly and walked over to Mr. Aizawa. We've completed all the introductions. Aizawa didn't even open one of his eyes. Okay, just review your curriculums and don't be late to your next class. With that, everyone shuffled out the room. A training battleground. Izuku and the rest of the class waited patiently by the training room. Today they were gonna practice different exercises. Hello, Izuku and the rest of Class 1A whipped their heads towards the door, which busted open only to reveal the infamous figure of the number 1 hero, All Might. Coming through the door like a normal person. No freaking way it's him. I wonder if I can get an autograph. Wow, his more built-in person, look at those muscles. Oh my god, my breathes. All Might walked past a few students to his place at the front of the class. This is Foundational Hero Studies. In this class, we'll be building up your foundations as heroes through countless trials. For your first trial, we'll start with this. Combat training. Bakugo grinned like a psychopath. Hell-fing yes. Momo shook her head as she slapped the back of his head for cursing. For your costumes. All Might pulled out a remote and pointed it at the far wall before pressing a button, causing several sections of the wall to slide out. Inside were cases with each of the students' seat numbers displayed on them. Go ahead and pick your case out. We received your special order for gear that you requested last week to meet your quirk needs. Once you're finished, I will meet you by the ground zero. Minutes later, All Might waited patiently for the rest of the students, smiling as widely at each student. They say the clothes make the hero, ladies and gentlemen. Remember this. From now on, you're all heroes, take pride in it. Before long, they'd all gathered up. All Might's grin widened. I'm loving everyone's styles. You guys have a sense of great taste. I'm sorry I'm late. Everyone turned around to see who it was. They were all shocked to see a black blur running fast towards the group. Izuku had been the last to arrive and he was running like hell while trying to maintain his breathing. His costume was a mainly black and gold and red. His mother and Escanor made him a costume as a present for getting into you. His hairstyle seemed more wild than usual as it flew in the air magically. He wore red gloves, elbow and knee braces, and gold utility belt with the symbol of the sun. His whole costume was fireproof and heat-resistant, not to mention it was fitted against his muscles pretty well due to the stretchy material, a necessary feature because of his given power. His whole costume was fireproof and heat-resistant, not to mention it was fitted against his muscles pretty well due to the stretchy material, a necessary feature because of his given power. Uraraka bounced over with a gleam in her eyes. Oh my god, Izuku, you look so cool. Did you make this costume? Izuku blushed furiously upon seeing Uraraka's costume, which was a black and white skin-tight bodysuit. She had large, knee-high white shoes and a clear visor covering her face. The girl rubbed the back of her head nervously. I guess I wasn't clear enough when I turned in my costume design. They gave me a skin-tight bodysuit. It's kind of embarrassing, she said as her melon started to expand against the fabric a little. No, it looks amazing on you. Great design. Izuku tried his best to cover his nosebleed. DMN, her ties need to be free. Oh, please let me SCK on them. No, you perv, get it together and focus. Sir. One of the students wearing white armor raised his hand. Izuku recognized the voice instantly as leader. Will we be using the same city design from the entrance exam for this training? All Might grinned again. To a point. This will be indoor battle training. For this test, you'll be separated into two-man teams of hero and villain groups, then duke it out in 2-on-2 combat. He pulled out a small tablet. Listen up. The scenario for this training is that a pair of villains have a nuclear weapon somewhere in the building. The hero team must infiltrate the building and stop their nefarious plans before it's too late. If the heroes capture the villains or the weapon, they win. If the villains keep the heroes away from the weapon until time is up or they capture the heroes, they win. As for your teams, they'll be chosen at opposite random. Ida seemed confused. Wait, by opposite random? Izuku understood. Pro heroes often have to create teams with other heroes that they aren't familiar with by quirk and abilities, in order to prepare for the unexpected circumstances. I see, Leader exclaimed. I apologize for interrupting you. All Might nodded. Anyways, these are the teams. He pulled tab on his tablet and announced the teams one after another. A few classmates agreed with the choices and others not so well. Uraraka smiled as she turned towards Izuku. Hey, what are the chances? This is great though, we'll make an awesome team. She went in for a fist bump which Izuku returned nervously. All Might then produced a pair of boxes, which were labeled as hero and villain respectively. He reached into the opening at the top and pulled out a pair of ball with a letter on each one. Letters A and G. G team will be the heroes. Shoto and Bakugo A team will be the villains. Izuku and Uraraka, him playing as villain is not my style, but I'm sure we can do this, Uraraka. Izuku and his teammate were pumped up for this. All Might crossed his arms. The villains will start inside the building. You'll each have 5 minutes to come up with a strategy, then the heroes will be able to enter the building as well. The rest of the class and myself will observe through surveillance cameras. Feel free to use your quirks to your advantage. If things get out of hand, then I will stop the exercise. Inside the building, Uraraka and Izuku looked at the huge weapon they had to guard. While this thing looks realistic, kind out of a military action movie, Izuku said as he started to look around his surroundings. She giggled. So did you come up with a plan? Yeah, Bakugo is going to come in guns blazing. He's very destructive and does not think twice about blowing something up, while Shoto is more calm and patient. He may use his powers to encase the building to try to have control over the cold environment. But all in all, we can use them as an advantage. What do you mean by that? Uraraka questioned as she sat on a steel crate nearby. Let's just say Bakugo's attitude is gonna get between them. Hero starting point. Alright, we need to We don't need a plan, we can just rush them. Just follow me in. Bakugo cut off Shoto as he walked past him. Shoto turned and grabbed Bakugo's shoulder firmly. Listen, I'm not here to argue like kids, let's work together to achieve the victory. Bakugo shrugged off the hand and came face to face with Ice and Fire user. Don't ever put your hands on me like that again or I will blast your butt up, he said disdainfully as he spit on the ground next to Shoto's shoe. Sorry to displease you, but I don't swing that way. Why I outer? Alrighty, everyone go ahead and begin. All Might voice ran throughout the battlefield. Surveillance room. The rest of Class 1A and All Might were watching the confrontation from the surveillance room. I hope Bakugo doesn't plan on blowing up the entire building, Tsuyu croaked as she was watching the screen of Shoto and Bakugo running towards the entrance. Maybe he can blast Uraraka outfit off, Minoru said as he hungrily stared at Uraraka, who was standing next to the bomb. Several classmates glared at the teen in disgust. Momo brow twitched and made a mental note in her head. She was more focused on the fight, though, specifically Bakugo and Izuku. Bakugo told me Izuku was a weak child growing up, but now he proves him and me to my understanding. Wrong, Momo said as she followed the actions of Bakugo, who by this point was sending small blast around the structures, shaking the building up as Shoto was sliding in his ice. Your boyfriend is eager to cause an uproar. Mina came up next to her, also looking at the screen. I wonder who is gonna win. It's gonna be Team Hero for sure, Momo said confidently as she crossed her arms. Well then I say Team Villains. Izuku sure does have an interesting quirk. I bet he would destroy the city again. She jumped up with excitement, remembering the entrance exam scene. Now ladies, let's not come to any conclusions just yet. All Might tapped on the screen to zoom in. Let's just watch and see. Back to the battlefield. Bakugo, you need to stop now. Shoto was trying to keep up with the wild teen who was shooting at random directions, causing the building to shake. Shut up, you ice beer city. Bakugo continued to ignore his teammate and continued down the hallway towards the stairs. Fine then, if you don't want to listen. Shoto slammed his foot down on the ground. Jump up now. He sent a powerful wave of ice as it covered everything in sight. Bakugo barely avoided the sharp stakes of the powerful attack as it grazed his cheeks. What the hell are you trying to kill me? He shouted angrily as he charged up a blast ready to strike the two hair color boy. Sh𝐿𝐿 pointed behind the blonde teen. "I created an opening for us to go through. It leads all the way to the top floor." A huge opening was created through the ceiling as the two can see it led all the way up to the top. Sh𝐿𝐿 shifted his ice powers as they were slowly together rising to the top level where the bomb was. Surveillance room. Holy 𝐻, did you see that? He just created a huge hole through all the diamond floors. 𝐬𝐬𝐫 nervously shifted as he was watching how the whole building was being covered in ice slowly. "That's crazy. This fight is gonna get interesting. I wonder who's gonna come out on top. I think the hero team has this in the bag." Whoa, that's some wild but strategy. All Might ignored the whispers among the students. He was more focused on Izuku, who taking a stance by the bomb, getting ready for the two heroes to come out of the hole. "Show me what you're really made of." He continued to watch in anticipation. He needed to further analyze his abilities. Back to battlefield, and they already started. Izuku jumped back, avoiding the ice. He pulled Uraraka away also. She was bridal style in his arms. "Wow, he sure does have range with his ice." She was gasping at the large hole in the middle of the floor as more ice was pouring in. Izuku took his glasses off, feeling his power bubbling inside of him. "Remember the plan and stay low. When I give you the orders, make them float." With that, he safely tossed Uraraka to the far side of the wall. Izuku took a stance and was prepared. His muscles bulge and he can feel the material stretch slightly, giving him more flexibility and comfort. "Come out here, Deku." Bakugo launched through the hole as Sh𝐿𝐿 followed. The two teens landed wildly as they now faced the sunshine user. "Well, I guess you didn't expect this to happen so quickly. Here." He charged up an attack and was ready to fire it. "Well, let's just say you're right where I want you." Now Uraraka. Suddenly the steel crates all over them floated in the air. Izuku rushed forward and kicked the living SHT of the crates, which were sent flying towards the hero team. Caught off guard, Bakugo was rammed into the other side of the room. He coughed up BLD and was knocked unconscious. Sh𝐿𝐿 dashed towards Izuku, running so fast he broke the ice off the floor in his path. Izuku then shifted his right hand into a fist and punched the remaining crates towards Sh𝐿𝐿. The ice user created walls of ice that deflected the crates into different directions. Despite the quick time and speed it took Sh𝐿𝐿 to accomplish this, Izuku had enough time to sway into defense stance. He moved his left hand to block a punch that was aimed to his midsection. However, he lost his balance and was standing on his left leg. Sh𝐿𝐿 used this chance to encase his arm in ice and striked again for a more devastating impact. Izuku moved into a lower position and encased his arm in heat magic. Their fists collided with one another, which sent a gust of steam throughout the area. The impact alone cracked the floor underneath them. "Wow, this is getting crazy." Uraraka yelled out as she just recovered from throwing up. Both teens were thrown back and landed gracefully on their feet. "As I thought, this won't be an easy fight. I will have to overwhelm. I'm running out of time," Sh𝐿𝐿 said in his head as he noticed his right arm was getting frosty. He can feel his stamina weakening due to the large attacks he performed. "I must admit your ice is sure useful, but at the same time useless against me." Izuku stood tall and proud as the ice that was on him started to evaporate, leaving steam in the air. "Well, I'm still getting started. Let's count." Sh𝐿𝐿 was interrupted by a huge blast that passed his right side and collided with Izuku. "Don't forget about me, you kiss but beach." Bakugo landed next to Sh𝐿𝐿. He was covered in scratches and his left eye was swollen shut as he had a heavy gash on his forehead. BLD was dripping down his chin as he looked psychotic. "Why am I not surprised? I knew a steel crate wasn't enough to knock you completely down." As the smoke cleared up, Izuku looked unharmed at the attack, not one scratch or burn. He had a serious look now. "DMN right. Come on Sh𝐿𝐿, let's kick his butt," Bakugo declared as he dashed towards Izuku. Sh𝐿𝐿 was a little shocked by his words but nonetheless followed suit. Both launched their attacks again at him. Izuku dodged the attacks, putting on more defense than before. Bakugo and Sh𝐿𝐿 slowly got closer to Izuku. However, once they were in hand-to-hand combat range, Izuku threw a left punch towards Sh𝐿𝐿, which didn't connect as the ice user dodged and responded with a high kick towards his head. Izuku spun around, catching the leg mid-air, and with his strength threw Sh𝐿𝐿 back against the wall. Bakugo snuck up from behind and successfully delivered a kick to the back of Izuku's head. Much to his sadness, Izuku didn't flinch. "UBSTRD." Bakugo laid an onslaught of punches, kicks and blast from his palms. Izuku didn't move an inch from his spot. He screamed in frustration. How the hell is he not affected? Is this really all they got? I kinda feel sorry for them, to be honest, Izuku told himself as he blocked another incoming attack from Bakugo. I'm done playing games, now it's my turn. Izuku rushed in and delivered a right punch towards Bakugo's face. Who barely blocked in time, but the force alone sent him flying a couple of meters back. Izuku then moved his hand towards the now standing Shoto. Scattered star shot. He fired 5 shots of mini-suns from his fingertips. Shoto created an ice shield in response. He blocked 3 of them head-on, making him stumped back, almost losing his balance. Sadly though, Izuku planned on this and redirect the other 2 around the ice user and eventually hitting his backside. You are... Shoto yelled in pain as he was launched forward by the mini-suns. His back was covered in smoke. Izuku then rammed his knee in Shoto's face. You could hear the cartilage cracked in his nose as he was launched backwards, crash landing next to Bakugo. Bakugo fired his strongest attack he could. A huge blast came from his palm heading straight for Izuku. His body ached. He was dizzy as his BLD blinded his eyesight. An attack like that will just tickle me. Izuku took the attack head-on. The building vibrated, the walls were burnt and cracked all around. The smoke cleared up and Izuku was slowly walking around the large hole in the floor level. Now Uraraka, he said calmly. Uraraka during this whole time went around the hero team unnoticed. The plan was that she would sneak around them when they were fighting Izuku, since they would be more focused on beating him. She came behind from the shadows and slapped the 2 tired teens on the head. She lifted them up, 1 unconscious ice user and 1 struggling blonde teen who was still yelling quiet insults. Ice me. He became lightheaded due to the major BLD loss from his forehead. Well, Bakugo, you sure did put up a fight. Izuku was now standing over the floating teen. He ignored the intense glare sent his way. Screw yo. Izuku drove his fist into his face, causing Bakugo to clash hard against the ground, causing a small crater due to the impact. Bakugo coughed up BLD as he slowly passed out. Izuku, was that necessary? Uraraka looked at the unconscious blonde teen as she released them. I kinda think that was overboard. Team wins. All Might's voice rang throughout the building. Izuku looked at Uraraka with a small smile. Uraraka, I'm just repaying for everything he put me through growing up. Besides, I'm not weak like before. Uraraka understood what he meant. She couldn't help but give him a tight hug. She pressed her ear against his chest. Shep can hear his heartbeat as it beated faster and faster. Man, he's so warm it feels like I'm in the sunlight. Wait girl, get a hold of yourself. She jumped away, blushing madly on what she just did. Izuku looked lost the whole time as his face was swollen red. Surveillance room. Momo looked at her fallen boyfriend through the screen. I hope this loss does not affect him badly. My poor baby. She started to cry into her arm at seeing how badly damaged he was. Hey, it's gonna be okay, I'm sure he will be up and running when he gets to recovery girl, Mina said as she and the other girls went to comfort her. Wow, I can't believe Izuku took both of them head-on. Yeah, not to mention he packs a punch. That was a smart strategy. He was basically baited them in and overpowered them while Uraraka captured them. All Might couldn't help but agree despite his decision to remain unbiased. You sure do have potential, young man. You're gonna go places and I hope I can lead you there. All Might was now considering giving his power to Izuku now. He just needed time to explain and win the boy over. But how? Izuku's apartment ring. 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 Answer T Dimen phone. Izuku groaned in his sleep as flip over to see who was calling him. He grabbed his phone and looked at the caller ID. Unknown number. He was gonna hang up, but a little voice in the back of his head told him not to. Curious on who would call him at 4 a.m. in the morning, couldn't this person wait or some acity? He decided to answer the call. Hello. He was met with silence as he only heard a faint static noise. He was about to hang up until. Hello. Oh my god, is this Izuku Midoriya? A high-pitched scream pierced his ears. He almost fell off the bed. He was scared to death by the sudden outburst. Regaining his composure, who is this? Oh my god, I'm your #1 fan. I heard you wanted to become a hero and so I stalk you everywhere you go. Giggling was heard from the other line. Wait. What? Yeah, I'm in your closet right now watching you sweat on the spot. Izuku ran to his closet and lightning speed as he channeled some heat magic to his fist ready to PND the intruder, but when he opened the door no one was inside. Ha ha ha. You're so DMN. Gullible. Did you actually think I would hide in your demon closet, you thing perv? The voice said. Listen, I don't know who you are, but if this is a threat you will. Shut up for a second. It's me, Toga, you silly goose. Izuku was silent for a minute, his brain shut down and restarted back up. I'm so sorry, please forgive me, I didn't know it was you. He quickly apologized for getting so worked up over it, not to mention Toga made her voice sound different. You're adorable, I swear. Anyways, this is my new number, my old phone cracked badly so I upgraded. She paused. I was calling really because I wanted to ask you something. Yeah, what is it? Izuku took a seat on the edge of his bed as he looked out his window. It was still dark outside. Well, you see, the fair is coming again this year, and I wanted to see if you wanted to go with me. I have an extra free ticket since I really don't have no one to go with. Her soft voice was like music to Izuku's ears as he felt calm listening to her. When do you want to go? Izuku didn't mind going, but at the same time he was nervous as hell because technically it would be them two. Just them two alone. Like a date. He blushed madly at the thought of him and Toga alone. Well, since today is Thursday. About this Saturday. We will meet at the Kyoto station at 9 a.m., dress casually of course. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Saturday it is then. He was excited. You. Izuku heard a groan come from the other line. It almost sounded like a man. Hey Iz. Everyth. Hey Izuku, I will meet you Saturday. Good night and be safe, Toga said quickly. She ended the call quickly. Izuku was stunned by the sudden ending of the call. He was gonna text her but decided not to. He looked over to his alarm clock and man, he needed to get back to sleep. School starts in 4 hours. Besides, he hasn't been getting much sleep since he has those DMN RTC dreams about Uraraka and Toga. DMN pervert. He fell back to sleep, continuing his spicy dream. Toga's location unknown. Get off me, you stupid. Beach, the man groaned as he was lying face down. Toga was sitting on his back. He had multiple stab wounds all over his body. Unfortunately, the man was bleeding out slowly. But why? You're enjoying it, right? Aren't you into little girls, remember? Toga said with a huge grin on her face as she liked her blade cleaning the BLD off of it. No. Please, I have a wife and 3 kids. He tried to move but to no use. He didn't have the strength for it. I swear I wasn't gonna do anything bad to you. I just thought you were lost. Yeah, sure, says the one that grabbed me and pulled me in alleyway and tried to RP me. But anyways, did you know what you really did wrong? Toga warned, pulling out another large combat knife. Please, I beg you. I won't tell anyone, I swear, please, I beg yo. You ruined MYF phone call. Toga drove the knife into his backside and kept repeating this over and over again. The man's screams filled the abandoned dark alleyway. Toga was laughing in pure bliss as she didn't stop. Her clothes and face were drenched with BLD as her cheeks began to flush pink. She was in heaven as she slowly stimulated herself. She could feel herself almost cave in, but to her dismay it didn't come. Well, I get bored easily. She got off the lifeless core, wiping the excess BLD on her skirt. Me and my demon bad habits. Toga was giggling as she walked away. She couldn't wait until Saturday. Looking over her phone, she smiled at her home screen. It was a picture of Izuku smiling. She got the picture by stalking him when he was shopping with his mother. Soon, Izuku, you will be mine. She liked her blade as she sung a happy tune skipping along the dark streets of Tokyo. Campus hours later, Class 1A was already in their seats waiting for Mr. Aizawa, who had just walked in. But as they got themselves ready for the day, they came to the realization that one of their classmates was missing. Especially Uraraka, who was looking for the green hair boy. Izuku's not here yet. I wonder if he's okay, she said, catching the attention of the nearby classmates, even Bakugo, who still had bruises all over his face from his defeat by Izuku. He looked annoyed at his desk as Momo comforted him. Yeah, that's odd. Leader scratched his head. Does he know that today we're going to do rescue training? Denki glanced at Bakugo. Hey, aren't you guys friends or something? Can't you call him? Bakugo scowled. How about you mind your own demon business, you SHT face? Bakugo, stop it. Momo yanked Bakugo head back and smacked him hard. Everyone was shocked that he didn't do anything back. He just sat there and quietly apologized to Denki for his actions. But in the back of his mind, he was actually wondering just where in the hell Deku was. He was still bitter about his beatdown a couple days ago. He never felt the receiving in of a loss, which really destroyed his pride, but at the same time it opened his eyes up. I wonder if it was like this when I used to torture Deku. Every time I will beat him down he will just get right back up the next day. Was I really this much of an but? Bakugo looked towards the window. He was feeling conflicting emotions about his whole life situation. He came out of his thoughts as he felt Momo's gentle hand on his shoulder. She leaned in and gave him a hug. He could hear her heartbeat, which relaxed him. Let's get class started, Aizawa muttered, gaining the attention of all the students. It looks like everyone's here except for Izuku. I am sorry I am late, please forgive me. The door flew open and everyone was startled by the sudden outburst, finding to expect the late Izuku, but he was wearing an All Might themed 3rd edition t-shirt. His school breathes were on but his belt was not fastened as it hung awkwardly from the loops, his shoelaces were not tied, and not to mention his coat and school shirt was slung over his shoulder as he had his back dragging in his other hand. Bottom line, he looked like he was hungover. Aizawa and the whole class just stared at Izuku, who was smiling nervously. Glad you can make it, Ta. What the hell, Izuku, you're 15 minutes late and why the hell are you not properly dressed? Leader screamed as he stood in front of the teen lecturing him how to properly dress. Half of the class laughed and others felt bad for the guy, not to mention he had bed hair sticking everywhere. Oh my god, he looks like hell. Is that the limited edition 3rd issue All Might t-shirt? So freaking cool, he kinda looks adorable. While he must have been to some party, Izuku excused himself and made it to his desk. He ignored the comments about how he looked. Sitting down, he was met with Uraraka, who looked ready to explode with laughter. So, Izuku, are you gonna change into your proper uniform or no? Aizawa glared at him, which sent shivers down his spine. Yes sir, Izuku. Without thinking about it, he stood up from his desk and began removing his shirt, which caused all the girls to blush at the sight of his glorious well-toned body. Uraraka tried to stutter a response, but she couldn't take her eyes off his swollen six-pack. Her dirty version mind clouded her judgment. Izuku finished putting and fixing his clothes, much to the girls' dismay. He finally took a seat, stuffing his shirt in his bag. Am I Izuku? Uraraka stammered out as she was covering her face. Yeah, what's wrong, Uraraka? You look like you're gonna explode. Next time change in the bathroom, you idiot. She slapped him so hard he flew out of his desk into Bakugo, who managed to catch him awkwardly. You're such a idiot. Bakugo dropped the poor boy down on the ground, who was unconscious. Momo came and put her coat underneath his head. They decided to wait until he recovered, because Uraraka was having a panic attack as steam was escaping her head. The rest of the class laughed it off as Aizawa continued class. Poor Izuku was in the dream world. Lunchtime came around and Izuku was NSNG, his swollen red cheek with an ice pack. Bakugo, Momo, Leader, and a still blushing Uraraka sat at a table, all eating lunch and talking amongst themselves. I'm really sorry for slapping you back there, I didn't mean it. Hey, it's okay, Uraraka, I promise it's my fault for doing that. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking straight. Izuku chuckled nervously, avoiding eye contact with Uraraka. There you are. A heroic voice boomed as the symbol of peace approached the table of teens. I'm sorry for the intrusion, young heroes, but may I borrow young Izuku for a moment? Izuku nodded and waved at his friends goodbye. Hey guys, I will see you later, and Uraraka, I promise it's fine. With that he left the group behind as they were puzzled on why All Might wanted to talk to Izuku. I wonder if he's in trouble or something, Momo replied, watching Izuku exit the cafeteria right behind All Might. What do you think? Uraraka watched them go curiously. I wonder what's going on for All Might to call him away, but I don't know. I think he may want to congratulate Izuku for his performance lately. He has been getting top scores in the courses so far, Leader suggested. Could I be right? Whatever it is, it ain't got nothing to do with us. Bakugo shot a look towards the exit door. But hopefully he's okay. Leader and Uraraka looked shocked at what Bakugo said. Was he just worried for the green-haired boy? I agree, Momo nodded as she placed her head on Bakugo's shoulder. He's been spacing out a lot, and not to mention he's always getting late to class. Yeah, that's true. Uraraka looked saddened. Maybe he's going through a life crisis at home, or he's depressed or something. Leader glanced at Bakugo, who was already finishing his taco salad. Hey Bakugo, you and Izuku are somewhat friends. Do you know anything? It's none of your business what our relationship is, he said calmly as he was picking his food apart. But he's fine from what I can tell, maybe he's just going through a phase. I know I am, he had a small smile. Man, this guy has weird mood swings, I swear, leader and Uraraka thought as they continued to make small talk mostly with Momo. The whole table was still worried in their own way about Izuku. All Might's office. Reaching All Might office, Izuku was nervous as hell the whole time as he made small talk with the symbol of peace. Walking into his office he was met with pictures and awards all around the small room. Please have a seat, young Izuku. All Might gave the boy a chair which he gladly accepted. So do you have any idea why you are here? He sat behind his desk with a huge grin on his face as he stared at the boy in anticipation. No sir, did I do something wrong? Izuku shifted in his seat, his hands were sweating as his nervous antics started to get the best of him. Well, quite the opposite, my dear boy. I've been observing you and your performance lately, and I must say you have the qualities that make a worthy hero. He paused as he sipped on his glass of water. Also, what I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room no matter what. Do we have that clear? Yes sir. Izuku was confused on what's happening. All Might started to steam as he turned back to his actual form, coughing up blood, shocking Izuku, who looked horrified. He looked at Izuku again, and told him, "Kid, I just want to say thank you for giving me hope, and I want to give you an offer." "Wait. Are you All Might? What happened to you?" Izuku stood up and was panicking at the sight of his hero. Why was he so skinny and frail? "Listen kid, please sit down and let me finish. I apologize, I'm sorry for the interruption." He bowed and sat back down, muttering to himself. "I was injured beyond repair in a battle a long time ago. I can only retain my muscle form for so long now that it takes a toll on my body. I was struggling day by day looking for an answer until I saw you. You run head first into danger. You're very skilled in combat and strategic-wise you're superior. Not to mention you have the heart of a true hero. And I also know everything about you and your little situation." "What do you mean by that?" "I'm talking about how you were never born with a quirk and how you got one now, if you can call it a quirk. More like magic you get from the sun, but you can only retain that power for basically half a day since you slowly become normal when the sun goes down." "What?" Izuku had a dumb look on his face. How did he know about his past and his power? Does he know about Escanor? "It all started when I visited your home during school hours." Flashback. Toshi waited patiently in his original form as he knocked on the door. He heard people shuffling inside. As the door opened he came face to face with tall, very large muscular man. "Hello, can I help you?" the strong figured said with a gentle warm tone. "Yes, I'm with you, eh? I'm one of your son's teachers." Toshi shuffled his messenger bag to his other shoulder, as the tall man gazed at him curiously. "Please come on in. And I'm not his father." Escanor moved to the side and let the frail man through, who was coughing into his arm sleeve. Oh, good morning," Inko says as she straightens her apron. "My name is Midoriya Inko, and I'm Izuku's mother. And the man behind you is Escanor, he's my boyfriend. It's nice to meet you." "No, the pleasure is mine. My name is Toshinori Yagi. I came here to discuss a matter about your son Izuku," Toshi says as he sits down at the table with Escanor sitting to his right side. "Is he in trouble or something? If he broke something we will pay for it, right sweetheart?" Inko looked worriedly to Escanor, who nodded in response. "No, nothing like that. I just wanted to stop by and ask some question if that's alright. I hope I'm not intruding." "No, it's alright. I just put some muffins in the oven right now. They'll probably be ready soon if you would like some," Inko says cheerily. "Trust me, you would love to eat these muffins, they are supreme." Escanor smiled widely as he sipped his lemonade. Inko blushed at the compliment as she took a seat next to Escanor. "Yes, I would love some." Toshi reached into his case and pulled some documents. "So I'm gonna be straight and honest with you, as I would like for you to do the same. Is that okay?" The other two looked at each other and back at Toshi. They agreed, but still confused on why he wanted to talk about Izuku. "So I read over your son's medical documents, physical examination, and his background history of his young teen years. It says here that your son was not born with a quirk, but somehow here it says he awoken his quirk only about a year ago. Is that correct?" Toshi took a big gulp of his refreshing lemonade, waiting for a response. "Yes, that's correct. I guess you can say he's a late bloomer." "Right." Inko was worried about where this was going. But Toshi knew she was avoiding the question. "So what are you exactly getting to?" Toshi. Escanor leaned a little forward as his eyes glowed. He can feel Inko rested her hand on his shoulder, which relaxed him. "I didn't want to do this, but Toshi transformed into his muscle form. Please, I will ask again. I must know All Might now in his glorious prime form. Oh! 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 and Escanor were left speechless at the sudden transformation. And yes, I'm All Might, I'll explain everything. 5 minutes later, whoa. That's a lot to take in. 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 was shocked to learn the truth about her son's favorite hero. Escanor couldn't agree anymore. Yes, now I would like to know how Izuku gained his power. It's nothing like I ever seen before, he said, looking at 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 and Escanor. What I'm about to say, it's gonna be hard to believe, but it's the truth. Escanor sighed heavily as he remembers how he ended up here. Well, it all started 10 years ago. All Might listened carefully to each word, taking in the fantasy world. He heard of magic, but the way Escanor made it seem was out of this world. Was it real and not a hoax? Escanor told him about Lilith and his sunshine ability, how he met Izuku and started to train him in preparation for the exams. After 10 minutes he finally finished as it became silent. Wow! That's unexpected. So magic here. Not a quirk. That's correct. Unfortunately, I gave most of my magic to Izuku. I only have enough for in case of a real emergency or when to do occasional training with him, Escanor said quietly as he still missed sunshine, but it was for the best to give it to Izuku. Well, also he's at a disadvantage. Afternoon, is that correct? All Might implied. Yes, it's a weakness of the power. It will take a toll on his body dramatically. Well, I have a solution to that little problem. But first I need your permission, All Might said with a huge grin adorned on his heroic face. End of flashback. Izuku was hearing everything his hero said, overwhelmed and feeling tears coming down his face. He shifted his glasses to wipe his tears away. All Might came around the desk and to the boy's side. He got on his knees and bowed. That is why. You'll be the one to inherit my power. One for all. Wu Wai Hat. Please listen and listen close. Izuku. All Might stood as he did a pose. My quirk was passed on to me like a sacred torch that is given from bearer to the next, each generation of new power. Here. Izuku looked out of it. You heard me. And I've picked you as my inheritor to pass the torch down. Wait. WH. What? Izuku yelped, going into full-on stutter mode. He began to mutter furiously to himself as he processed what was going on. All Might put his hand on the boy's shoulder, halting him from his little panic episode. You are worthy for this, Izuku. Think about it. You would be blessed with 2 gifts. He paused. Me and Escanor did not make a mistake. We chose you for a purpose. Please consider this. All Might looked ready to tear up. All right, I will do it, Izuku said with the same determination he had with Escanor. The fire in his eye returned brighter than ever. Wait, really? Yes, sir, I will not let you down. Izuku stood up as he faced his childhood hero. Alrighty then. Eat this. All Might had ordered with that big grin on his face as he held up one of his own blonde hairs to Izuku. Hell, what the hell? Why would I eat your hair? The boy just stared at him with a dumbfounded expression, causing All Might to laugh uproariously. Well, it's better than injecting my BLD inside you. All you need to do is intake my DNA. I'm sorry, it's different from what I expected, Izuku yelped as All Might practically shoved the hair into his mouth. Enough of the details. Eat up. Despite Izuku's protests, he did eat the hair. The slimy hair thing went down his throat, which gave Izuku a bad acidic taste. Good, don't you dare throw it up, All Might chuckled as he finished the rest of his water. So when does it kick it? Your quirk at least, because I don't feel any different. The boy tried his best not to cough it back up as he was breathing slowly. To fully work it may take a day or 2, but you will definitely know a difference. All Might offered the boy some water, which he gladly gulped down. And also do. Alert. Alert. Please advocate to a safe location. Alert, alert. School is being taken over by villains. An automated voice boomed over the school's intercom. All Might, get back with your class and get to the bunkers, Izuku. Hurry. All Might left without another word, rushing out his office into the hallway. Izuku followed shortly after him. I can help also. He looked at his watch. It was 1:35 p.m. He had enough magic left. Main building bunker area. Everyone hurry, please get to the bunker, hurry. Aizawa was leading the students into the bunkers underneath the school. Most of Class 1A went and all of Class B. The support heroes were the first to arrive. So what's going on? Denki said in a panic, as Kirishima, Tsuyu and Mina came up from behind. No time to explain get your ba in there hurry up. He pushed the students in the elevator that lead to the underground bunker, pushing the button he sent them down. Is all your students accounted for? Aizawa 13 said as he came over in hurry. No, I'm missing 5 students. DMN, it is everyone else in the bunkers. Yes, everyone was checked in, but I did see a small group of students heading towards the rescue training arena. The pro hero trailed off and stiffened, twisting his head suddenly to look at the fountain not far away below them. In front of it, a spark of black matter appeared and began to engorge, growing in size. From within it, a hand appeared, followed by a body. The face belonging to it was covered by hand. As the portal grew, more bodies came out until a whole horde of villains emerged. 13. Aizawa snapped, putting his goggles on. Find those students and get them to another bunker. Hurry. 13 nodded. Be careful, Aizawa. This ambush seemed definitely planned. Aizawa dove towards the oncoming crowd of villains and began to wreak devastation amongst the helpless ranks. Aizawa was using his quirk to shut down the villains' quirks as he went and pounded the living SHT out of them in groups. Villain after villain, Aizawa was not slowing down. He kept fighting with everything he had. He lost count after the 15 villain he knocked out. But suddenly he was surrounded by a horde of villains as they stared him down. Let's see if your quirk can handle all of us at the same time. I'm gonna tear your guts open. Come on guys, let's kill this him. Aizawa took a stance as he regained his stamina, ready for round 2. The villains all charged forward together as they had bloodlust in their eyes. Boom! An explosion came from behind Aizawa's right side. It collided with the villain group in front him, blasting a good chunk of them away in different directions. He could hear people land next to him, but he didn't need to look to know who they were. Looks like we're a little late to the party, Bakugo said as he shot more consecutive blasts towards the group of villains. Sorry we're late, teacher. We couldn't find the bunkers, so we decided to help, Lisa declared as he powered up his engines, causing the boys' lower breaths to burst apart. Yeah, we couldn't stand by and watch, Uraraka said with determination. This is gonna be fun. Momo created a mini-tank as she climbed inside with Uraraka. I'm sorry, Aizawa, they ran past me after I told them where you were. 13 painted, trying to catch his breath. These demon teens were too fast for him to catch up. Demonic kids, this not a training exercise, this is the real deal, Aizawa said, but calm down. Fine, if you want to help take as many down as you can, I give you full permission to go all out. Without another word, Bakugo and Leader charged into the battlefield, both successfully taking down the enemies. Bakugo overwhelmed them with his major blast attacks while Leader used his speed to make up for it. Momo, Uraraka, give us cover fire. 13 take out any stragglers that try to flank us. Go! Aizawa dodged a punch heading to face as he headbutted the villain to the ground. Yes sir, with that they did what they were told. Momo was creating cannon shells filled with bin bags and passing them to Uraraka, who would shoot them. They took a good portion out. 13 scared the remaining villains through his vortex. Unfortunately they would turn into dust and non-exist, but in this matter of life or death he didn't care, he just wanted to protect the students. Left campus wing, Zuko could hear loud bangs and fire blast coming from the main building as the whole foundation shook like an earthquake. In it, how the hell did I lose All Might? Where is everyone? Izuku searched the empty hallways as he was heading towards the loud sounds. He still couldn't believe he lost All Might. He was just right behind him. He came across a bridge that connects the two buildings but stopped dead in his tracks when a black mist materialized in front of the door, blocking the exit. Are you lost, kid? Suddenly a black mist-like creature came through the portal. His entire body seemed to be made out dark matter. Who the hell are you? Izuku got into a defensive stance as he took his glasses off. His remaining magic for the day bursted to life inside him, making his muscles bulge, causing his uniform to rip and tear. Wow, that's interesting. You got buffer by taking your glasses off. Wow, it's like a comic book character coming to life. But afraid I can't allow you to leave. A pair of glowing, slit eyes formed in the fog above a metal plate of some kind as he stared down the boy. His voice just seemed to be apolifed by the fog as it gave off a more deeper, scary tone. Do you actually think you're scary? Who they are you again? The teen right fist glowed as heat was being gathered in hit. We are the League of Villains. I'm sorry if we came unexpected, but we took it upon ourselves to enter you. And engage All Might and finally destroy him. The glowing eyes studied the boy movements, noticing his fist was vibrating with some kind of power. I was under the impression that All Might was at school today. I haven't seen him yet, perfect son. Without hesitating, Izuku fired a huge-sized sun towards the warp user who barely registered what was happening. Last second he used his mist to eat up the sun up, ending it up somewhere else. Boom! A huge aftershock came from outside as the windows blew apart. The shock of his attack was too great it even burned the nearby forest. Izuku was lost at words but remained calm. He needed to think straight. Wow, that's some power you got there, kid. The mist guy looked stunned as he was lucky enough to redirect the large sun just in time. But now its mind turned suddenly. A surge of darkness covered his vision and Izuku's eyes widened as he realized the warping villain had somehow caught him underneath his feet. You fool! The villain sounded incredibly smug. You might be powerful, but those with experience always come out in top. He was falling. Izuku couldn't do anything. He felt his power getting weaker by the minute. He couldn't last much longer. He was spit out of the black portal, tumbling on the ground with a yelp. He rose to one knee and glanced up, only to freeze when he realized where he was. He was in the middle of a battlefield, surrounded by villains who were currently engaging Bakugo and Leader. They seemed to be doing fine as they had the advantage. He looked to his right and what he saw made his blood run cold. A huge, black humanoid beast had pinned Aizawa to the ground as he was laughing. Behind the beast was a villain who was covered in severed hands. He must be the leader. The villain covered with hands turned to look at Izuku as he emerged from the warp portal. It was impossible to see his face because of the hand covering it up, but Izuku knew he was grinning with sickening delight. Oh, Kurogiri sent me a toy to play with. The villain began to walk towards him. I'll get bonus points if I crush a student. The news will be eating it all up on how All Might couldn't even protect a student. Time to die. Izuku glared, gathered up his heat, and launched an attack at the villain with. The blast Izuku launched at the villain was packed with intense heat. The mini-sun grew in size as it inched closer to man covered in severed hands, but he lunged to one side and evaded the attack barley which burnt his right side. The villain screamed in pain as he clutched his arm as it was smoking due to flesh being burned, but with his face covered, only his voice could express his pain. You little SHT, I may kill you, Kurogiri. Why did you bring this little SHT here? Forgive me, Tomura. The warping villain materialized next to his leader, glowing eyes fixed on the teenager who was breathing heavily. I caught him in the hallways, and besides look at him closely, doesn't he look familiar? What? Tomura snarled as he stared at the teen with hatred, examining his features. Green wild hair, gold eyes and freckles on his face. Wait. Don't tell me. Hey kid, what's your name? The name is Izuku Midoriya. Don't forget it, you some holy SHT out of all people. Wow, ha. Tomura couldn't contain his laughter even though he was in pain. So this is the guy Toga is all into, DMN it. That just complicates things. Yeah, I realized it too after I sent him here. She wouldn't be too happy if we ruffle him up, Kurogiri said as he looked towards the boy again. I see. Well, what she doesn't know can't hurt her. Tomura lunged at the boy. The villain rushed in with surprising speed, closing the distance between them. Before Izuku could react, he was right in front of him. The lips hiding behind his hand mask curled up in a hungry smile. Well, let's see if you crumble away nicely. His hand extended, just inches away from Izuku's throat. Tomura suddenly found himself leaping back, reacting purely on his instincts. His body was scared of something. He glanced back at the boy. Izuku stood tall as he was encased in raw heat. Heat waves filled throughout the area. His golden eyes glared at Tomura through his stupid hand mask, radiating a deadly intent. Tomura could feel the skin on his neck get bumpy as he looked back at the teen. He smiled slightly as he looked down to ground. It was burnt to ash. That's some serious killing intent you have, Tomura said mockingly. But ain't you a hero? I thought heroes don't kill. Besides, you really hurt me earlier. He raised his brunt arm up to make his point across. Please, a real hero would slay any monster before him in order to stop it from rising again and harming others. Izuku's voice was heavy. And besides, you wouldn't be worth killing. He wasn't bluffing. Tomura could see the fire in his eyes and chuckled. I believe you, but that's an odd way to think. Interesting. Too bad he's on the hero's side, right, Tomura? Kurogiri again appeared beside his leader. More or less, Tomura held up his right hand, it was heavily burned. No wonder Toga likes this kid, he said quietly. The warping villain looked at Izuku cautiously. He's got an impressive quirk. To burn anything in sight, and that DMN heat of his, it's crazy. Tomura was focused on the golden heat that was radiating off the boy. Now that he'd backed off and really took a look at it, this quirk seemed useful. I can feel my magic almost depleting. I need to wrap this up quickly. Yuku eyes darted towards the hulking black humanoid, keeping Aizawa broken form pinned down. That thing was going to be a problem if it could cause so much damage to a pro hero. Well kid, time's up yo. Boom. A massive explosion of dust and debris went everywhere as someone landed next Izuku. Blonde hair made itself visible as the dust began to settle. Tomura's eyes widened in glee. The scowl on his face was a far cry from his usual, wide grin, but the symbol of peace looked far more terrifying for it as he glared through glowing eyes at Tomura and Kurogiri. I am sorry I'm late, young Izuku, BYT I'm here now. Kurogiri's eyes narrowed. So he did come to school after all. Tomura grinned sadistically. This works out perfectly. You won't be getting out of this alive. My Numu's been specially designed to take you on at your best. I'd like to see you try to overcome shock absorption. All Might took in his surroundings, but stopped dead upon seeing Aizawa pinned beneath Numu. He lunged at the black beast. Release him this once. Tomura cackled. Numu, get him. Numu turned his attention to All Might. The beast ran at him at full speed. Detroit Smash! All Might yelled, delivering a powerful blow that Numu equally delivered. The force of it sent gust of waves, knocking everyone back off their feet. It also caught the attention of the remaining villains and students in the area. All Might and Numu were shaking the whole area apart as the building was crumbling due to the force of each punch thrown at each other. That DMN beast has shock absorption and some kind of regeneration quirk. He's the perfect counter to All Might. I can't let them continue fighting. And not mentioned I have enough magic for one more big attack, but how can I help? Izuku watched as he leaned against a pillar. Sunshine was taking a toll on his body as he started to cough up. Hey Izuku. A familiar voice came from behind. He turned around and it was Uraraka waving at him. She had Leader, Momo, and Bakugo behind her. You guys, what are you doing here? No, the real question is, what are you doing here, Deku? Bakugo got in his face but was pulled back by Momo. We were helping Aizawa take care of the other villains, Momo said as she noticed Izuku looked exhausted as hell. Yeah, they all decided to leave as soon as All Might showed up. Leader, who was covered in scratches and marks, smiled awkwardly. Delaware Smash! The teens were interrupted as Numu absorbed another shocked force punch from All Might. The creature was gaining more hits on the hero, as All Might was bleeding from his old wound. We need to help him, Izuku said with determination as he clenched his fist together. He need to help All Might, who knows if he will last any longer. So what's the plan, dipshit? Bakugo smiled as the others waited for their role to be said. Alrighty so. Izuku whispered quietly to rest of the group as they will nod here and there. Is that all you got? All Might declared as he took another brutal punch into the gut by the beast. Rah! Numu launched forward again, dodging and delivering heavier blows to the bloody hero. Numu becomes more stronger the longer he fights, and since he is overpowering All Might, he might finish this quickly. Numu knocked All Might to the ground and started to P&D his face over and over again. The beast enjoyed tasting his BLD as it splattered all over its face. The poor hero felt weak and dizzy as the onslaught kept going. Hey bestiadi die. Numu was blasted off of All Might, crashing through several buildings in the process. Numu recovered but felt another blast from its backside as he screamed in agony. Its skin was charred and burned badly. Next thing it knows, it had a cannonball launched in its gut, knocking the air out of it. Trying to recover, he was kicked in the face hard by Foot. Numu flew like a rag full several meters as it came to a halt, laying on its back. Death Spin! Leader drove his hyper-powered legs into the monster's stomach, embedding it in the ground, further causing the monster to cough up. Now Uraka. Numu got up slowly but felt a small slap on its shoulder. Turning its head, he saw a young girl who looked ready to puke, but Numu didn't realize he was floating in the air until it was too late. Ah! The monster swung in the air as it was trying to get free. Hey you! Numu looked down to its left and saw the green hair boy charging some kind of attack from his palms. It roared as it was trying to fight against gravity. It knew what was gonna happen. Final impact. A beam of light engulfed Numu as the beam bursted through the building ceiling. Numu tried to scream but couldn't since its cells were being burned alive. The beam of heat and light continued as it pierced through several clouds as it made its way into the atmosphere. Finally it exploded, sending massive shock waves throughout the land. Everyone was blown back again. The building couldn't take it anymore and began to fall apart. Tomura froze as he got back up. He was shocked at the display of power. It completely destroyed his Numu with one attack. He realized that all this was for nothing. He didn't get to kill All Might or anyone in fact. All because of that DMN kid. Izuku. He glared at the group of teens who all ran to the fallen form of All Might. What the hell? Tomura hissed out through gritted teeth and scratched at his head furiously until he peeled his scalp. He got a critical hit. SHTI underestimated him and now I have to pay the Fing price. He let his hand drop and snarled viciously. There's no defeating him now with those Fing teens in the way. We can't win against All Might without Numu, Kurogiri. Kurogiri nodded. It's best if we retreat before the other pros arrive. He created a gate that led back to headquarters. Tomura glared at All Might and especially at Izuku as he walking inside through the gate. Hey All Might and Izuku, enjoy your little victory for now because next time you're all dead. And with that he vanished without a trace. Was that the boss? Bakugo said as he helped Izuku to his feet again. Yeah it was. The dude acts like a depressed kid with daddy issues. Bakugo and Izuku starting laughing as tears ran down their face. They gave each other a hug. Everyone smiled at the two as their interaction seemed long overdue. Even All Might who struggled to get up started to chuckle. Izuku Uraraka tapped his shoulder. Turning around he was met with a blushing Uraraka. Yeah what's wrong, is everything alright? He put his hand to her head. She was burning up. Are you okay? Do you need recovery girl? No. Just put a diamond shirt. Uraraka slapped the poor boy so hard he flew into a building wall. Everyone was shocked. Maybe her real quirk is super strength, everyone thought as Pro Hero 13 came over with Aizawa slung over him. The rest of the heroes showed up and took care of the stragglers. Poor Izuku was unconscious as his cheek was swollen once again. But he was in the dream world giving Uraraka and Toga a body oil massage. F pervert. How long do you think until he wakes up? Well, it could be a couple of days. Shut up and keep your voice down. Izuku groaned in his sleep. He could hear people talking near him. He woke up and was met with a bright blinding light above him. His body ached as he felt exhausted trying to move. He tried to process what was going on but sadly his brain was sending spikes of electricity throughout his body. He hadn't even noticed recovery girl appearing by his bedside. Sorry if we woke you up, she smiled at him gently. You were out for a couple of hours now. Really? Izuku blinked in confusion and suddenly all the memories of the attack came rushing back. The final attack against Numu and to top it off Uraraka knocking him out cold. Everything turned out fine. No casualties, she assured him. The rest of the pro heroes arrived and took care of the rest. Aizawa and your friends Bakugo and Leader are getting medical attention at the hospital. They're expected to recover shortly. None of the other students were hurt since they made it in time to the bunkers. Izuku ran that through his head before another worry made itself known. What about All Might? Is he okay? Recovery girl chuckled and gestured to his right side. Take a look. Izuku looked to his right side and realized that All Might was also in a medical bed, though he was fully awake and smiling awkwardly. He was in his skeleton form, but other than that he looked somewhat heroic. This dumbass over here couldn't stop asking questions, recovery girl told him. But he was worried, which is understandable. Yeah, sorry for waking you up kid, Toshi coughed, but hey, glad you survived that slap from Uraraka. Poor girl was practically in tears after she realized what she did really. Well, I'm just glad everyone is okay. Izuku smiled sheepishly as he and Toshi bumped fist. Recovery girl looked and smiled at the scene before her. It brought old memories of her time. Sorry, what about MYM? I need to tell them what happened before they worry. Izuku suddenly panicked. He didn't want another but beating from his mother worrying too much. In that case, it's a good thing we're here. He yelped at the familiar voice and looked up to spot Escanor and his mother by the door. Escanor looked amused at his reaction, but sadly 𝐒𝐭 looked ready to burst into tears. My baby, are you okay? Who did this to you? I will kill them. 𝐒𝐭 was shaking the poor boy furiously back and forth. Mo. Other please. Op. I'm gonna puke. As she stopped, he could feel his soul almost left his body. Everyone else in the room laughed at the poor boy's misery as his mother continued to smother him to death. 𝐒𝐭 sighed and put a hand over her heart. You scared me to death, Izuku. Me and Escanor heard about the attack on the news. Sorry, Izuku, Escanor apologized. He leaned forward, hugging the teenager. I wish I could have helped you out. Me and your mother found out last minute. I should have been more responsible and watched over you more. I'm glad you made it out okay. It's not your fault, Izuku promised, waving him down. Don't blame yourself, guys. It happened out of nowhere. Besides, I held my own pretty well today. He sure did. He took out an enemy with one big attack. Toshi exclaimed in excitement. It was so cool how you blasted the creature through the ceiling and into the atmosphere. So this is your power, Sunshine here. Yeah, but I wasn't near my full power since it was afternoon, unfortunately. Izuku and Escanor chuckled, knowing the true weakness of Sunshine. Don't worry though, you have one for all now, so take good care of it, with Sunshine added to it. You will become a force to be reckoned with. The skeleton man grinned wide as he sent him a thumbs up. So, you actually did give it to him here. My baby Izuku, we have been blessed. 𝐒𝐭 jumped back on the bed and tortured the boy with her love and kisses. So can he use it now? Escanor turned to Toshi. No, not yet. It would take a couple of days to kick in, but he would know when it activates. Oh, I see. Escanor turned to see Izuku fighting for breath as he was pulled into a tighter hug. Given the circumstances, classes will also be cancelled for the remainder of this week, so enjoy this time off. All Might went on. Also, when you come back, me and you are gonna do physical training plus hand-to-hand combat. So be ready. Izuku finally got his mother to stop as he listens to each word. Yes sir, I can't wait. Good, well then you should be good to go. Me on the other hand, I have to stay here for the night, Toshi said sadly as we wanted to move out and about. Recovery girl sighed, but she was smiling. Since you're awake and have no major injuries besides that swollen cheek, you should be fine. I just need your mother to sign these papers of release. Go home after this and get a good night's rest. You should be fine in the morning. Yes, thank you. Villain's bar. Tomura stumbled out of the warp gate and into the empty bar that they used as a base. He gripped his burnt arm as the pain intensified each passing second. So how did it all go for you? Did you have fun? A voice came from a monitor attached to the wall. It was deep and calm. I didn't have the chance to fight with All Might much since he showed up last minute as usual, Tomura muttered through gritted teeth. Those kids were annoying as hell. Not to mention the DM and extra helping hands we brought along were useless as us. Oh, I see. Well, that's unfortunate. By the way, where is Numu? The voice asked curiously. Kurogiri was now dressed in a butler's suit. He stood behind the bar as he looked towards the screen. My apologies, sir. Unfortunately, he didn't make it as he was killed by some kind of fire attack. What a waste of time and resources. To think he would go toe-to-toe with All Might but was defeated. Useless. Sadly, we must try again. But if I may ask, who defeated Numu? The only man I'm aware of that is capable of defeating him with heat or fire is the number 2 hero. Was Endeavor there? Hell no. Tomura frowned behind his mask. It was some stupid kid. He got a critical hit on Numu. I really don't know much about him. It just happened all of the sudden. He purposely didn't mention Izuku's name or any more details for reasons, and left out his damage arm also. I see. This is an interesting development. Well, if you happen to find more about this boy, be sure to tell me. In the meantime, I have another assignment for you. With that, the voice cut off. Tomura felt his phone vibrate. As he looked at it, it contained the details of his next assignment. He groaned heavily. Man. Kurogiri, can you make me a drink? Certainly, sir. Would you, Lee? You be a study, Tomura. Tomura barely dodged a knife thrown his way but stumbled onto the floor. He was pushed down to the ground as he felt a blade pressed against his Adam's apple. He looked up in pain as he saw Toga was sitting on his chest looking angry as hell. Her eyes turned red and her teeth became more pronounced. Hey Toga, what's up? He said. Calmly, don't. Hey Toga, I know what you did, you piece of e. She pressed the blade further against his throat. BLD was trickling down from his now fresh wound. And what was that exactly? He said, smiling. He loved to tease Toga as her rage gave him amusement, and not to mention he saw her as a little sister as well. You BSW told me you invaded UA, but the real problem was some low-life villain saw you and told me you were trying to attack and kill myheroacademia. Toga pulled her second knife out with lightning speed and plunged it deep into the floorboard next to Tomura's head. She was painting heavily as her bloodlust was getting to her. Please Toga, get off of him. We didn't know until it was too late, and besides the boy is fine. 𝐒𝐻𝐽𝐫 was cut off by the vicious glare sent his way by the girl. It gave him shivers as he failed to calm her down. Toga, enough, it ain't our fault you like a wannabe hero anyways. Darby yanked Toga off and threw her back against the wall. Learn to control your DMN emotions, besides I'm sure he's fine, you whiny baby. He looked down at the sulking girl who curled up into a ball in the corner. She started to cry into her sleeves, making the other three feel bad. Darby ignored Tomura's struggle to get up. He kneeled beside the girl, feeling bad for what he did, but sometimes he hated her tantrums. He wrapped his arms around her, trying his best to comfort her. Hey, listen. You need to tell him the truth about everything before it's too late. I just can't. I like him a lot, but at the same time I want to slice his throat open and break his ribs. I'm just so confused. She was wiping her tears away. Hey, I know it's hard to love someone. I've been there. It can get complicated, but never change who you are unless it's meant to be. If that makes any sense. Darby was met with watery yellow eyes. He successfully calmed her down. Thank you, big bro. Anytime, and don't forget you have a date with him Saturday. Why don't we go shopping for a new outfit for you? He lifted her on her feet. Hell yeah, let's do. Toga jumped with delight as they both exited the bar. Tomura and 𝐒𝐻𝐽𝐫 watched as they left. Why didn't you tell the boss more information about Izuku? 𝐒𝐻𝐽𝐫 asked as he finished making them drinks. Tomura regained his sitting. Well, it was for her. Hopefully she does figure out what she wants from that boy. He chugged down his highball, feeling the acidic burn in the back of his throat gave him comfort. Besides, if he hurts her, I will handle him myself. Izuku's apartment. Midoriya was in the kitchen, mixing eggs and flour to make cake for Escanor and Izuku, who were watching some kind of anime. She was glad her son was okay and not harmed. She was just about to have a heart attack when she saw the news covering the scene earlier. She didn't blame the school for what had happened. From what the news reports were saying, it had been a carefully laid out attack with a rare warping quirk that no alarm system would catch or a person in time. Izuku had also told her that him and some of his classmates helped with the onslaught of the villains, while Aizawa, one of his teachers, was hurt badly and is still recovering. Inko's train of thought ended as the front door bell went off, followed with a light knocking. She peered around the hallway and made her way towards the door. Escanor and Izuku were too engrossed with anime to even notice. Hello, she saw a couple of students who she never met before standing by the entranceway. Until her eyes landed on a familiar blonde boy, she frowned but kept her comments to herself. Oh, you're all Izuku's classmates. Inko realized they had the same uniform as her son did. Is something wrong? Bakugoi shrugged. Sorry about the intrusion. I know it's late, but these assholes wanted to know where Izuku lived and I just happened to point them in the right direction. Momo scratched the back of her head, smiling in embarrassment. Sorry, but the truth is Bakugo was gonna visit, and so we tagged along. But yes, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Momo. Yes, it's a great honor to meet you. I'm Tenya Ida. Leader bowed, which Inko returned gracefully. Hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm Ochiko Uraka, she said nervously at meeting Izuku's mom. She couldn't believe how young and appealing she looked. Oh, my baby has actual real friends, Inko said happily but hinted with sternness as she looked at Bakugo, who looked down in shame. Well, come in, come in. Izuku's in the living room. She let them all in one by one. She weirdly saw how Momo was gripping Bakugo's hand, leading him in like a lost child. She put two and two together. How did this but get her appealing girl like her? She's too perfect for him. She quickly led them to the living room and announced her presence. Sweetheart, you have guests here. She trailed off and stopped dead in her tracks, staring at a sweating Izuku and Escanor who were doing one-hand push-ups. Both had no shirt on. As they groaned while watching the show, still clueless about what's behind them. His classmates entered the living room and also stared at the image of their friend working out with a huge buff man who had a lion tattoo on his back. Izuku didn't actually stop and kept going. "Hey guys, what are you all doing here?" Yuruaka was blushing as her circuits were about to be overloaded. It looked kind of funny as she shifted wildly in her spot. "Izuku, you idiot, work out with a shirt on." She leaped in the air and delivered a devastating wrestling elbow to his back, causing the poor boy to cough up mucus, crashing his face to the floorboard. 𝐒𝐭𝐻 and Escanor went to the fallen boy as they tried to wake him up, but he was long gone. Again. "Please forgive, I'm sorry." Yuruaka was bowing viciously as she was muttering apologies too fast to understand. "No, it's okay. You did nothing wrong. See, I'm okay." Izuku stood up as he stretched his whole body. He was knocked out for 5 minutes as Yuruaka was apologizing to his mother and Escanor for her actions. But to his surprise, "The one who should be sorry is my son. Izuku, you need to keep a shirt on around the house, and you too. Escanor, only in your room you can have it off. You perverts." 𝐒𝐭 defended Yuruaka's actions. She sent a thumbs up towards her with a magical smile. "Hey guys, are you hungry? My mom just made some beef curry and I think she's making cake, right mom?" "Oh my god, yes, let me go finish mixing the ingredients. You guys wait right here, I will bring you each a bowl of curry. I hope y'all ain't allergic to anything." With that, 𝐒𝐭 rushed back to the kitchen. "Take a seat on the couches if you would like." Izuku gestured to the 2 large couches on each side of the TV. Izuku lived in a very large apartment and really nice furniture that was state-of-the-art. "Thank you for this hospitality." Izuku leader bowed as he sat next to Bakugo and Momo, who reclined the chairs all the way back. Yuruaka sat on the other couch and Izuku decided to join her. "Well, Ima, go help your mother in the kitchen. You guys don't wreck the place." Escanor left quickly as he felt like a third wheel. "So what do you guys want to watch?" "Anything if fine, really," leader said as he was cleaning his glasses. What about an action movie?" Momo suggested. "Oh, how about a scary one?" Yuruaka said excitedly. "I agree with that one." "Put on a devil-worshipping one." Bakugo added in as his grin grew bigger. Momo giggled at his cute expression, which made him blush in heat. The teens all decided to watch a horror movie called The Secret. The 3 boys were deep into the story plot as it was basically about a woman who gives 𝐒𝐻𝐽 to the Antichrist. She must kill her child since it's making everyone she loves die horrible deaths, so she takes it to a church and all 𝐻T breaks loose, except the girls who were scared shitless. Momo would jump into Bakugo's lap and smothered him with her melons as the boy could barely breathe. Leader would laugh it off and tease the shameless couple. On the other side was poor Izuku, who was stiff as a needle. He didn't want to move from his heavenly experience. Yuruaka was wrapping her arms around the boy as her double DS pressed against him nicely. Izuku did his best to keep his mighty sword down, but every time Yuruaka would fall for the cheesy jump scare, it was hell for him. He could feel the melons jiggle much to his delight, and the softness of it was beyond bliss. "Demon it, I can't hold on any longer. Hold it together, you son of a beach. Sorry for the wait. I just finished the cake. Here you go." 𝐒𝐭 came to the rescue as she passed each teen 1 bowl of curry, drink, and vanilla cake with rock road ice cream on the side. "I hope you all like it. If you need anything, Izuku, Ima be in my room watching Family Feud." With that, she left as Escanor followed her like a lost puppy. Bakugo glanced over his shoulder at Izuku. "Tell your mom her curry is good, and this cake is better than my mom's baking for sure." Izuku smiled. "Thanks, she really is passionate about her food." "Yeah man, your mom sure does know how to cook. This beef is so tender and soft, and oh my god, this sauce is delicious. I should hire her as a chef." Momo was stuffing her face as she was almost finished with her bowl. "I'm sorry, but this cake is so moist and soft. It brings back memories of my old home." Leader started to tear up as he had his mouth full of cake and ice cream. He didn't even start with the curry, just went straight with the dessert. His embarrassment about how his mother was basically getting worship was cut short by a small poke to his chest. Izuku looked down to see Yuruaka with tears running down her face. "Hey, are you alright?" He put a hand on her shoulder, catching the other's attention as they watched the two. "Yeah. Just. Thank you for being my friend." She wiped her tears and turned to look at the other 3. "All of you. Thank you for accepting me, and I'm glad I met you all. No, the pleasure is all mine, and thank you get letting be your friend." Momo reassured Yuruaka. Bakugo just nodded and continued eating. "Yeah, Uraraka, it's no problem, you're a great person," leader said. He had ice cream stains on his cheeks. Izuku sighed. Smiling, he placed a hand on her back and started to rub her. She eventually relaxed into the gesture. Leader, Momo, and Bakugo continued to watch the movie. He should just ask her out already, they all thought. Izuku chugged his banana smoothie he'd made with the silent blender. It was 3 in the morning on Friday. He could feel his body slowly swell with heat since he doesn't sleep with his glasses on. Besides, him and Escanor were gonna head to the mountains in a bit to train more. Without Mother's approval finishing his 3rd glass, he decided to go back to his room and change into his workout clothes. He rubbed his dried eyes and then ran a hand through his messy curls. Last night was fun, with everyone hanging out watching movies and playing video games afterwards. He'd had a great time, not to mention when Bakugo went and apologized to Escanor and Inko for his actions against me and his trying to change for the better. Surprisingly, they accepted it. But what really was the cherry on top was Uraraka gave Izuku her number and Instastar profile. He gladly followed, and as soon as they left he looked through her posts, a bunch of cute animals, and some were selfies of her and others he assumed was her family members. "Man, it is being a teen with hormones," he whispered quietly. "Hey Izuku, you ready to go?" Escanor called from the other side of the door. "Yes, I wait for you outside." Izuku jumped up and looked himself over the mirror. He was pumped up for another sparring match. Before running out the door, he kissed Ritha a good morning. As he made it to the hallway, he was ready to show Escanor a new move he's been working on. "Mountain area, is that all you got?" Escanor shouted as he dodged another attack. Izuku grinned as he appeared behind Escanor. "No, I'm just getting warm up." He aimed a kick towards the back of his head, but Escanor ducked away quickly. "Well, it seems you've been getting slower with each attack," Escanor teased the boy, trying to get a rise out of him. "Or maybe I don't want you to pull a muscle, old man." Izuku shot straight for Escanor. In a blinking speed he connected his knee with the man's face with a strong impact. It smashed Escanor's left cheek, sending him skidding across the grass a couple yards away. "That actually tickled me." A now red-faced Escanor rubbed his cheek, but nonetheless it was a pretty decent kick. "Well, I can kick harder than that." Izuku smiled grew as he charged again. Much in the same fashion as he had the last time, Izuku was displeased, as Escanor used his left forearm to block the kick, causing a small reverb. "Now it's my turn." Escanor was now going on to the attack. Izuku quickly jumped back a few meters, to gain some distance between them. His facial expression changed. Now he was more focused. He swayed to a defense fighting stance. His expectations were met when a fast punch came, nearly hitting him in his chin as he slightly moved an inch away. But Escanor was relentless. He sent another punch, this one nearly hitting him between the eyes. This one had come even faster and closer, as Izuku can feel the heat radiating off the punches. Escanor's eyes flashed and he continued to rain an onslaught of attacks, but to his dismay, Izuku was dodging most of them and countering a few. "I can feel my reserves depleting fast. No wonder he's able to avoid my attacks. I can feel myself getting slower," Escanor thought painfully as he noticed the difference too late. Escanor quickly released the thought. He resumed his assault on the boy, sending fist after fist furiously at Izuku. Hundreds of punches had gone and missed, each one closer than the last to hitting Izuku. Is Escanor getting slower, or is it just? Izuku thought was interrupted by an unexpected strike to the chest. Escanor smirked, hitting him again, this time in the stomach, which sent him flying in the air before causing Izuku to cough up blood. Escanor continued his assault, each blow striking him like an artillery shell would strike concrete. Jumping into the air with the intention of finishing off the combination, he sent a devastating kick to the teen's side. Izuku was sent flying through the air, as he crashed through several large rocks, his momentum being stopped only by a large tree which was destroyed on impact as Izuku crashed against it. Escanor grinned triumphantly, but his grin quickly disappeared, as Izuku bursted out of the dust from the rubble. Wasting no time, he lashed out with an enhanced heat punch, barely missing Escanor's face. Luckily though, his next attack struck his face, landing a punch directly in his right cheek. Escanor reeled back from the force of the blow, lifting him into the air and knocking the wind out of his stomach as he was met with a sharp elbow from the boy. Not sparring a second, Izuku sent a high kick to his chin, moving him even higher into the sky. Reappearing behind him, 𝐒𝐿 put his hands together and brought them over his head. The sunshine user finally brought them down on Escanor's back, sending him dangerously closer to the ground. "Come on Escanor, I know you're old," 𝐒𝐿 shouted, "but I know you still have some fight inside you." As Escanor's face got close enough to touch the ground, Escanor stopped himself. Regaining his composure, he quickly got back into a fighting stance. He shot his hand out, charging up an output attack as heat and light began to form in his right palm. "Don't worry my boy, I still have it in me," Escanor said as blood was dripping down his mouth. As soon as 𝐒𝐿 saw this, he lifted his hands above his head in the same manner, charging up a mini-sun kinda like Goku's spirit bomb. Their power was reaching dangerous levels to its maximum. They both looked at each other. "So this your new attack you wanted to show me? Looks a lot like my cruel son. Trust me, it's more effective. We shall see about that." Cruel son. Perfect son. A large bang was heard as the two attacks met each other in midair, knocking both fighters back a few feet. Pushing each other's blasts back, the two engaged in a sun warfare. 𝐒𝐿's muscles bulged as he put more magic into his attack. Escanor is putting a lot of power into his attack as well. 𝐒𝐿 tensed as his son was getting pushed back. "It's now or never, I need to up the stacks." 𝐒𝐿's heat began to swirl around him as it spiked higher than before. Now slightly overpowering Escanor's attack, he began pushing the attacks back down towards him. 𝐒𝐿 pushed with one more wave of magic, as his son grew again, now tripling in its size compared to Escanor's. The man at this point had completely dropped to the ground and had drove his foot into the earth, causing large cracks to appear around his feet. The former sin of pride was struggling as his muscles were aching. "Are you struggling? I'm not surprised, I would too against my own attack." 𝐒𝐿 was smirking. "Whatever, this is nothing. Child's play really." Escanor struggled to keep his face up. "I figured you would say that. Let's up the game." "What?" 𝐒𝐿 concentrated more power and with all his might expand. He expanded his sun, which ate up Escanor's smaller son. Catching him off guard, 𝐒𝐿 took advantage of it and pushed one final time, sending his now perfect sun into Escanor, which ate him up also. Begone. With a flick of his fingers, his attack exploded. Boom! The force of the attack sent shockwaves throughout the land as the trees and large rocks blew away, sending debris everywhere. Intense heat waves followed up as it burned everything around them, about 2-mile radius, evaporating the nearby lake and leaving a good dent in the earth in the process. "Whoa," 𝐒𝐿 said, sweating while wiping his forehead. "It was more effective than expected. You call that a perfect Sunday?" 𝐒𝐿's eyes widened as the dust settled from the blast, showing Escanor, bloody and his clothes ripped apart. His muscles were glowing as he smiled proudly. "But how Let's just say that your son was indeed powerful, but it wasn't fully concentrated. It had weaker points in some areas while some were too high. In truth, it was devastating attack, but you could work on it more to make it stable as one solid sphere." Escanor finished as took a fighting stance in the crater he was standing in. 𝐒𝐿 smiled. He quickly swept down to the ground at high speed towards Escanor. Escanor was ready. He brought his right forearm in preparation for the charge from 𝐒𝐿. Just as the blow was about to land. Ring ring. Answer to diamond phone. Ring ring. 𝐒𝐿 stopped and scurried away to the side. He forgot he had his phone in his pocket. He looked at the caller ID and his face paled. He answered cautiously. "Hello. Where the hell are you, 𝐒𝐿? Is Escanor with you?" "Yes, mother, Do you have any idea what time it is? Get your ass back home now." Without a second thought, Escanor created a light portal and ran through without hesitation. 𝐒𝐿 ran after him as he stumbled in. "Men, she's so gonna kick our butt." Two lone figures were in the distance, covered within the large dark trees as it cloaked their presence. They were muttering to each other as they just witnessed the fight between the man and boy. "Holy SHT, did you see that? That attack blew up the side of the mountain," a female figure said as she was slowly cutting her wrist with a skeleton dagger, watching her own blood fall down onto the tree bark, turning it black and lifeless as it continued to run down onto the ground, having the same effect, killing the nearby plants. She wore a long sleeve and dark breathes. Her black hair with highlights of blue gave her off as a punk star kid, since she also had makeup up that would make a goth proud. Her cheekbones were very prominent, and not to mention she looked sickly. Her blue eyes looked like the ocean. The male looked in disgust at the sight of the girl and her weird antics. "Don't you have any manners? Do that on your own time, UMZ." He looked back at the scene of the battlefield, examining the aftermath of the two attacks colliding. He wore a battle armor like that of a knight, but his was red and gold. His sword was pinned up against the branch as his fiery red hair blew against the wind. His eyes were orange as embers. "Oh, shut up. You judge people too much. That's why you don't have any friends," she shot back at him as she made another cut. "I do so have friends. Your DMN teddy bears don't count. I'm talking about real-life people, not your stuffed playthings. 𝐼𝐴UTKI." Their petty argument ended as their communication device went off, halting both of them in their place. They hesitated for a second as they were too nervous to answer the device, because of the person on the other line. "Aren't you gonna answer it? You know she hates waiting. Give me a second, will you?" "I just didn't know she will call so soon." The male reached with his glove hand and pushed the circular button on the sphere-like device. He stumbled back as a projection of a female figure came to life. The figure of a woman appeared as she wore a hood covering her face. "My queen, we have news for you, W." They both bowed quickly but were interrupted by the women. "I already know of what you saw. Remember, I have eyes of my own." She chuckled as she pointed to a crow behind them. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness as it was staring at the other two. "Yes, my queen, your vision is always supreme. I have a question though. Why does the boy have them same abilities as Escanor? How is that possible?" "I thought Sunshine was picky on choosing on host, especially if it was human," the female said as she stood up to look at her MST. She was curious on this new development. She only met Escanor once, and that was a long time ago. She now has a chance to fight him and his protege. Who cares about that? What are we waiting for? Send an Amri over her now. This is our chance to kill them once and... The male's words were cut short. He was lifted off the ground as his felt a hand crushing his throat. He looked down but saw no hand grabbing him. It was some unknown force that was doing it, like Darth Vader force choke. He struggled to breath for air as his eyes were bulging out. Blood was escaping his nose as he became lightheaded. The female onlooker was frightened as she watched her comrade being choked, but she kept to herself. She didn't want the same to happen to her. "Did you just tell me what to do? You know I don't like people telling me what to do, right? Remember your place, War, and next time let me respond to Death's question before you chime in." The projection released her clenched fist, which resulted to a now coughing War who was gasping for air on the ground. The figure took her hood off to reveal a appealing young woman with shoulder-length grey hair with rather long bangs over the sides of her face. Her tired-looking crimson-red eyes with reasonably long eyelashes shine brightly in the dark surrounding. She had ram-shaped horns that suited her nicely. A burn scar that still looked fresh was etched on her right side of her face, starting from the chin and going up sideways over her ear and all the way to the back of her neck. "Now to answer your question, Death, this a new development indeed, but the answer is simple. Escanor must have passed Sunshine to the boy. I guess he found a worthy host that even Sunshine accepted. But this can be a problem." She paused and looked upwards. Her veins began to pulse black as her skin turned grey. The other two knew what was about to come. How does a worthless human get to be blessed by the supreme deity? The land around Death and War shook as large cracks started to form on the ground, which was shaking the tree that was stationed in. Rocks and debris lifted in the air due to the large intense pressure. It felt like she was there herself and not some projection. What's worst is now AF child wilds it. Suddenly it all came to stop almost instantly, as she began to calm down as she was regaining her breathing. But at the same time it doesn't matter. Escanor is only relying on his reserves. Soon he would be powerless, so we can focus more on the boy. She regained her composure almost instantly. "What would you have us do?" Death asked. She was scared of her MST's crazy mood swings. She didn't want to be at the end of it by accidentally upsetting her. "For now just observe them. I'm still making preparations and I'm almost done. Inform Conquest and Plague about your findings. Also I want you to look into this League of Villains organization. They could be somewhat of use to me for collecting more information." She cast her eyes down to the now struggling man who stood up as he looked determined. "Forgive me about my rudeness, my queen. I've been excitedly waiting for this moment for a bit and I let it get the best of me. I apologized." War said sincerely as he bowed, which the queen mimicked at the gesture. Just stop calling me queen already, just call me Lilith for God's sakes, only lower ranks are required to call me that, you two plus a few others can call me by my name. We talked about this several times already, Lilith said as she smiled. Her weird mood swings get the best of her at times. It was like two personalities colliding with each other every minute. Her kindness and savagery were at an endless war with each other. As you wish, my Q dash. I mean, Lilith, we shall not fail you. War and death kneeled before her. I know you won't. With that the projection faded out. Darkness surrounded them again as the two stood up and hopped off the tree. Well, this is gonna be fun, War said as he walked, still massaging his swollen neck. Yeah. You almost died though, she snickered at him. Yeah, that's true, I just have a run-on mouth, he sulked as he felt horrible for upsetting Lilith. It's understandable. It's because you don't have friends, right? She loved teasing War, he was such a hothead. DMNU. Then my head hurts, Lilith gripped her head in pain, she can feel the pounding get louder and louder, she couldn't take it much more. Stop it. A red surge of power exploded outwards from her body, destroying her bedroom in the process. Ma'am, Lilith, is everything all right? One of her most loyal servants' guard busted in. She was met by her queen lying on the floor clutching her head as she let small groans out. She rushed to her side and lifted her head up onto her lap. PL. Ease. M. Okay. It. Stop, she cried out painfully as it intensified. Phoenix Tear, the female servant shouted out. A circle of pure fire encased the two, it grew brighter by each passing second. Lilith was feeling the pain slowly fading away as she was giving in into the warmth of the women's touch. A few minutes went by and the fire burned out, leaving the room dark once again, only the moonlight shined through the window. Are you okay? Ma'am, Lilith, yes, I'm fine. She rolled off the other woman's lap and stood up, brushing the dust from her dress. Thank you. Oriana, I don't know what I will do. Lilith was cut short by a finger pressed to her mouth. Don't praise me anymore, you know I don't like it, she smiles as she wrapped her in a hug. They both felt comfort within each other. Did you find Escanor? Oriana broke from the hug much to the queen's dismay. Yes, and also a young boy, he now possesses sunshine. She could slowly feel her anger come back, but a hand to her shoulder calms her down, so now it just makes it more complicated than before. It seems this child can use it well but still lacks the full potential of it. Well, yes, it's not meant for a human at all, it's only a matter of time before it destroys his body internally just like Escanor's, Oriana said, reassuring her queen. Yes, we will make our move in 2 months' time. I'm almost done forming the army, and not to mention we're still fighting off the angels at the same time. She opened the curtains more as she took in the view outside. Oriana joined her and they both smiled. They were surrounded by lava as demonic creatures all shapes and sizes were torturing humans from children to the elderly. Evil laughter ran throughout the kingdom of demons, as the Tower of Darkness stood tall and proud. The screams of innocent was music to Lilith's ears. She despised humans with passion even if they're from another dimension.